Okay. So,
No, don't.
thing and stuff and stuff and things. So, I was remembering some of the fun things we talked about in our last podcast about. Let's see, Jason had his Virtual Boy having problems, and then when we talked about...
We talked about a lot of things.
Let's see some other cool stuff.
Podcast?
There was the Sonic 3D Blast that it was such a great thing that if you even hated Sonic 3D Blast, you would play it like at least once a day.
I don't remember this at all.
Then we talked about using imagination and kids not using imagination.
Oh wait, you
don't remember any of that?
No.
No, I don't either.
That's right, because only we will ever hear that podcast.
Fuck. What are you talking about? There was no other podcast. This is the one.
So
if something bad happened, I blocked it out. So either it was bad and I blocked it out, or it didn't happen. Either way, I'm happy.
Yeah, you might have noticed
if that Animal Crossing game proves anything.
There's a little bit of static.
Me, I'm happy.
Yeah. So what happened last week is we recorded.
We recorded best podcast almost ever.
Yeah, we got almost all the way through the whole podcast, and it was going great, and it was amazing.
So just imagine the best podcast ever and
times a billion.
Yeah, that was it.
Almost as good as the one we did.
Power was cut to the recorder, and we lost the whole file. So
so
it no longer exists.
So about 2 hours of talking down the shitter. Now anyone who's listened noticed that. One of the more recent ones we've done, we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
And at some point, the recorder just stopped recording.
Well, the batteries that were in it died.
Yeah, the batteries died.
But on the plus side, it saved the file before the batteries died.
Now, the way that works is close we can figure it, and it's probably right. The batteries, since they were dying on us, we didn't know at the time. They just stopped, and 10 minutes after talking, we realized, oh, it's not recording anymore. Fuck. Well, the batteries, when they die, they are slowly going out, and the recorder somehow knows, oh, the batteries are almost dead, so it saves everything it's recorded up to this point, and then turns off. Now, when there's no batteries, and instead it's just getting its power directly from a, say, computer, if the computer turns off or goes into sleep mode or whatever the hell it did,
it just shuts out the power instantly.
So, and then it has no chance to save. We lost about 2 hours of talkery, and it was really good talkery, and now it's gone forever. And after that, it was like 1 a.m. We're fucking tired and pissed. We didn't want to have to record it again because it would have taken 2 hours, and we would have just been phoning it in like, so, that Virtual Boy, what about it? It is broken. Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's a fucking mess, and I'm still upset about it, so...
Yeah, we kind of all are, I think.
I don't want to go through this podcast like, well, last week we talked about this. Since that didn't happen, I'm going to talk about it now. Instead, I'm just going to talk about whatever the hell I think of, because honestly, I don't remember most podcasts 2 days after we do them, and I don't want to, try to force myself to rehash anything. If it comes naturally and I already talked about it, great. So...
Yeah, so I showed Wes a few tricks on making a laptop never turn off.
Well, we're pretty sure this one's gonna work. If it didn't, you won't even be hearing this. Me talking now, you.
Yeah. If you have music playing, like the music player playing on repeat, just a song, and it should never even go into a screensaver, let alone go into sleep mode. Yeah. And then we also threw batteries into it, just in case.
Yeah, that way if the computer fucks out for some reason, then
or
there'll
just
be
the power goes
a
out.
battery
blackout. Hey,
there'll be a battery backup at least, hopefully.
And that's the fuck thing. Last time I was checking the recorder every 20 minutes or so just to make sure it was still going, like I'm doing right now, and it's still going. But then after the last time I checked it, 20 minutes later is when we realized, oh, it's crapped out, and if it had saved it, we would have lost maybe 15 minutes of talking or something. Not bad. It would have been last time. We'd be like, oh, well, it screwed up. We lost a conversation.
Yeah, and I hooked it up to the computer again. I went in to take the file and put it on the computer.
See where we were at when it went off.
And then there wasn't one, so upset.
Yes, very. I was looking online. There's
Sorry,
like
shit
ways
ass
that
day
you can
and fucking got worse.
scan the hard drive with certain programs to find the meta file that should still be there in the non-finalized form that you could somehow pull off, but that would take lots of work and stuff that we don't really have time for. So, bye podcast.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Yeah. So.
I've got a song about that.
Really? What is it?
Well, not me, but it's a Sonic song. Guess what the title is?
Live and learn?
Yeah!
Oh, I was way off.
What were you going to guess?
Super Sonic Racing is a game for the Sega Saturn.
I was going to guess that it was a song from, like, Lazy Town.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Barney or something like that.
No, I mean, that would have been pretty good, and they might have something about losing a podcast and wanting to skin a baby alive, but no. I haven't watched Barney in 30 years, I don't know. But anyway, I do remember one. Okay, so last week I got a pretty neat book. It's like a big, thick, what do you call them? Compilation.
Omnibus.
Yeah.
Omnibus compilation.
Yeah,
Whatever.
of Street Fighter comics. Like, Udon has been making Street Fighter comics for a while, and they're really good. Like, good, high quality, good pictures, a good story with the characters. And this was just a big, like, collection of, like, the last dozen or so. Like, there's, like, 12 or 15 something comics compiled. And it was really big, thick, nice, big pages, book, full color. It's really cool. The one thing is the book was $60, which that sucks, but it was on sale for $15. So how could I pass that up? That's great.
It was only slightly damaged.
And it was only slightly damaged in the corner, like the binding was like a little torn in the top. It's like, that's nothing, whatever.
Yeah, but then by the time you left, it was kind of coming away from the pages.
Yeah, by the time we were back here and I was reading through it, like the front of the cover had started coming off the rest of it.
The glue for the binding
wore off.
is like wearing out.
Did you end up trying to fix that at all? By the way?
No, and actually
I ended
it's
up reading
come
the
off
rest
all
of
way
it,
now.
and then that came off the other side too. So that front cover thing, like the rest of the book, is still perfectly intact inside with all the pages and shit. I don't know how long it'll stay like that, but the cover came off completely, basically. And I mean,
I'm wondering if I could fix it for you.
yeah, you could just
No, it
glue
wouldn't
it
be
back.
that
It would
hard,
be
yeah.
simple, but
It needs real glue.
yeah.
Yeah, super glue or crazy glue or gorilla glue or
Because
something.
the same thing happened to one of my Star Wars omnibus
It's
ones.
just too
that
thick,
It's
it
like
falls
by the time
apart.
I was done reading it, the cover was like off.
It's not like I'm manhandling it either. I was super careful reading the whole
Yeah,
thing. It's just
I
falls
had
apart.
I had another compilation like that. It was Marvel versus DC or something, where they had these crossover comics of Marvel and DC characters, and it was like a big collection of them. And I bought it new, and after the first time I read it, there were big chunks of the pages coming out, and I don't know. It's like something about those comic compilations.
Some
or
people
omnibus
just use
things.
shitty materials when they make their stuff, and
Elmer.
I mean, I've had Harry Potter books that chunks of pages started coming away from the binding, but they were hardback.
Yeah,
I've never liked hardback because they always do the same thing. To
yeah,
me.
big hardbacks. Like half of my Harry Potters, like from when
but-
I was a kid, they're falling apart.
you've read
But
them 100 times.
The,
yeah.
the ones that were falling apart, yeah, I had read about probably 20 times by that point.
Yeah,
But
especially
the
book
comic
3 is my
omnibuses, the comic ones, they just come apart right away for
Yeah,
some reason.
like-
I don't know why.
I know the one I got was used, and that's why it was on sale. And I thought it was at first it probably was just the little crack in the corner, the rip or whatever.
Yeah, but once the glue started coming undone,
Once I
it's like,
started reading
okay.
it, and you could hear the glue crackling every time you turned a page, and I
Like,
was being
oh boy,
careful.
I know
and
what's
like,
coming.
oh well, I was able
I
to
mean,
read
at
the whole
least
thing.
at least
It
you
was-
didn't pay $60.
Yeah,
for it.
that's the important thing. Like,
Yeah, it was worth
was on super
$15
sale,
even
so-
with that.
yeah, it's
'Cause
worth that.
It's not hard to fix, and yeah,
You know what is
still
hard
pretty.
to fix? Virtual Boys.
Yeah,
So,
I remember
yeah.
a transition like this.
I don't know.
You don't.
I don't remember any. I don't
I
remember a
do.
goddamn thing.
But,
I have
yeah.
nothing. But anyway, so
Virtual
last
Boys.
week I took my Virtual Boy to the shop, the video game store we go to frequent, to get fixed. Like, turns out, okay, so the right eye in my Virtual Boy, actually the left eye first, started going out. I took it in there a long time ago. They repaired it. It was perfectly fine again. Then I pick it up one day a while ago. The right eye's gone out, or it started going out. And then by the time I took it here and looked at it one more time, the right eye had completely gone out.
Yeah, it was completely black.
Completely black. So I take it to the shop. They had another Virtual Boy sitting there, so they're like, okay, and they swapped it out. And I took it back here. I should have tried it in the store, but then it's like, nope, the right eye's out in this one too. Same problem.
Yeah,
So
it's an incredibly common problem because Nintendo used crappy glue.
yeah,
Hey,
they
crappy
got
glue.
Elmer himself to squeeze the glue out of his own goat to make these Virtual Boys.
But yeah, there's one little part in there
would
where they
think
have a
that
ribbon
fresh
cable
glue would be
glued
better.
on there, and it's so
No.
crappy
It's a really
that
bad goat.
you can literally not even play the system and just have it sitting on a shelf, and the glue wears out.
Yeah,
and
I
comes
wasn't
off.
even
Yeah,
playing it. It
that's
was
what
just
happened.
sitting
You
there.
said it was just sitting for a couple months.
Yeah, it was
and then
sitting
you-
in its nice
And I decided to just
safety
pick it up
case.
and play it one day. Hadn't fucking touched it. Nothing could possibly have happened to it. And then the eyes jacked out, and it's like, well, great. And then the replacement they gave me is the same problem. Well, great. So we took it back there again, told them what was going on. They swapped it back for the original, because at least we know that one's half fixed. But they currently didn't have a tech guy there, the guy who fixed my Virtual Boy last time and should have fixed both eyes while I had it open and was at it. But they know a guy who can get at it. As of this time, they haven't gotten it fixed yet, but hopefully they'll
He's
do
supposed to
it
look
soon,
at it
yeah.
tomorrow.
So hopefully by
But-
next week I'll have it squared away once and for all, because I'm sick of this stupid thing. You know, it's just, it's an easy fix. It's just the little, there's like 2 strips in the inside or whatever that like plug into the helmet or glue into it or whatever, and the glue wears out and then it falls off, and that's where the picture goes away. But if you re-glue it back on there or tape it or whatever, it's fine again, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Probably
happens to all of
probably
the
duct
Virtual
tape
Boys.
would last longer than that
Yeah.
glue.
Yeah, I mean, you re-glue it, sure, but put some tape on there just to make sure, because why not? The hardest part is opening the fucking thing, because it's got those godless
Stupid
little weird
safety.
reversey
Yeah.
bolt screw ratchet things that are impossible to open unless you use tweezers and a lot of patience, and I don't want to. So, had the warranty. Game Store's super nice about it because, you know, we're loyal customers and they're cool there. So they're going to get that fixed, and then hopefully I can finally have my Virtual Boy just working, and then I don't got to worry about
And
it.
then you can play Waterworld.
No, I want to play Wario Land. Wario Land's awesome, and there's plenty of other great games like Mario Tennis, Red Alarm, and that. I need to get that Mario Clash because that looks fun. But yeah, so
Yeah.
hopefully this thing will get fixed, and I don't gotta worry about it anymore. Cause man,
That makes you unhappy, right?
you could say that.
Well, good thing you just bought a lot of happiness.
Oh yeah, I spent almost 100,000 bells on happiness because bells can buy you happiness apparently, and I'm happiest. Me fuckers, me. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
No, I had the most happiness before your money bought you yours.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival.
Oh yeah, I knew what the game was, but I didn't remember the name.
No.
We did
That's
just play it after
understandable.
all.
It is a very forgettable board game.
It was a Mario Party game with no mini games.
Yeah, so all the people are like, man, Mario Party would be better if there was no mini games. Bullshit, because then it would get over faster. Well, here you go.
Ironically, I enjoyed that game more than Mario Party.
What?
To tell you the
Because
truth.
you didn't have to do any
No.
annoying mini games.
No mini games. There was that.
It's barely a game. You share the controller. The most decision making you make is which direction to turn at fork roads and how many turnips I want to sell.
I know.
Ah,
I still enjoyed it more.
well, there are mini games on it. I just didn't bring the cards for playing them. Next time we'll play mini games and I'll show
No,
you.
then I'll hate it.
No,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
next time we'll have to do the Sonic one.
Well,
Yeah, no,
and
next time will be.
Plus, I got to play as fun characters that I remember from Animal Crossing, like
Yeah,
KK.
that's the cool thing. You can use Animal Crossing Amiibo and play as like Animal Crossing characters. I was Blathers. He's fun because during the turns it switches between night and day, which is just aesthetic basically. But during the day, Blathers is asleep during his not turns, and then on his turn he like wakes up all startled, like in the game when you wake him up in the museum, and he's like, "Oh, whoa, what?" That's always fun. And you can make him clap or pretend to clap, as it were, and do stupid emotion faces. You can unlock costumes for him, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I was Captain, but he didn't sing any shanty
And
tunes.
where's KK?
KK, because
Yeah, we haven't
he's
introduced.
cool.
You know,
He plays music.
I'm gonna say this. It's probably a good thing we lost that last podcast, because the whole time we forgot to introduce ourselves and say what this podcast is.
We did forget that, huh?
Yeah,
That doesn't
for 2
matter.
hours.
They would have been so confused.
I'm Jason, and this is the Ampersand Nerds Others ... things and stuff for prying secrets and goody gumdrop bags. What?
Nerd stuff ... ampersand things.
That's the ticket.
Yeah.
And you are?
My name is Wes,
Wow.
Oh, wait, what? We gotta say
and I
that?
enjoyed that Amiibo Animal Crossing weird game.
I made you play it because I knew it was garbage. I knew it would make you sad and mad.
And Wes likes it.
Whatever.
What makes you sad makes us happy.
Someday I'm going to find Mario Party 5 and I'll show all of you.
Watch.
What about that Sonic game?
Yeah, we'll play the Sonic game, and Wes will like it better than anything
that'll
else.
be next week.
Oh yeah.
What's your name?
I'm Lauren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Lauren.
Yeah.
So,
Lauren is
Sonic
to my left,
Shuffle
Jason's
is a
to my
game-
right. I am in the middle, and we are doing a podcast. Neat.
that didn't rhyme.
It didn't have to.
So,
Don't you know anything about poetry? It doesn't have to rhyme.
I guess not.
Free form.
I guess I'm a big uncultured Dumbo.
Yeah.
So Sonic Shuffle is a game for the Sega Dreamcast that is a Mario Party-like experience.
And
You're
Jason
using
will
the
hate
same,
it, and
you're
we will
using
love
the
it.
same voice as when you talk about Sonic 3D
So
Blast.
I actually was playing Sonic 3D Blast not too long ago. The Saturn version, and that's the bad version.
Yes, because you like
The
being
quote-unquote
unhappy.
bad version.
Wait, first let's talk about Sonic Shuffle.
No, we can save that for next week because it's extra special.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're gonna enjoy it.
I'm
And
sure
bet-
Wes will.
I bet you will. I bet you fucking
Probably
will. Like 70% of that game is waiting for loading screens to go away. And
Wes will love
you
it.
know, if it wasn't for that, it's actually pretty fine compared to Mario Party. It actually has a really cool like system for going spaces. Instead of rolling a random 1 through 10 or whatever, you have a deck of cards, like, and you have a hand of cards, and only you know what your cards are. So like you might have like a 6 and a few 5s and maybe some other numbers. It's like if you want to go exactly 4 spaces because it's a good space, you play a 4 card. And the cool thing is, you don't know what your opponents have, but you can play one of your opponent's cards on your turn. So you can play yours, or you can steal one of theirs. But you're just taking one of their random cards. You don't know what they have.
So taking their card, it's actually like rolling a die.
Yeah.
And you're also possibly screwing over your friend, like, oh no, I need that 6, and he stole it from me like an asshole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unless you're looking at their controller.
Well, yeah, you see what cards you have by looking at the VMU screen on your controller, which is your own little teeny
You
window
just have to
into
keep a
fun.
piece of tape over it until you're ready to look.
Yeah,
like-
go all GoldenEye on that thing.
Cover it up.
Just cover it with cardboard and peek into it with like your little flashlight. Like, hold on, I think I see a 3. Oh no, that's. I mean, I don't know what I have. That could be a 3 or it could be a 7.
It's a 7.
You can't roll a 7
or draw a 7.
or draw, as it were. It's definitely different enough than Mario Party to like
That it's
look
not
at.
an exact clone.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it has red and blue spaces with rings. Guess how much they're worth?
Coins?
No.
Those silly coins with the hole in the middle.
Oh, so
You know what
so
I'm
so
talking
they're
about.
worth bells.
3 rings, blue and red is positive and negative rings. just like coins in Mario Party, just like bells in Crossing.
Why'd they decide on 3? What's the big...
I don't know. It seemed like a nice even number for, hey, here's something to have that'll make you happy or not, but not so much that you win.
What's the equivalent of stars in Sonic?
Precious stones.
Precious stones.
They're not Chaos Emeralds?
And I had to play the game again to remember that word. Precious stones. Yeah, you think Chaos Emeralds, right? No, they're...
Yeah, but there's only a certain amount of Chaos Emeralds.
Well, there's 7. But yeah, that's the thing. You play the game, and it's the first to collect, however... It's not a set number of turns. It's whoever collects a certain amount of precious stones first.
They could be Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah.
First
so there could be like 7... you play with like 3 or 7.
But
you
how
get to
can
choose.
3 people have the same stone?
I don't know. I don't remember. That's the kind of thing we're going to have to look at a little closer.
Well, there would only be 7 in the game, and then the first person to get
The majority?
the majority wins.
I think so. And then, of course, at the end of the game, I think there's that bonus stuff, too. Like, you got the most rings, so here you go. But I don't know really what... I don't know. It's been a long time, and I look forward to rediscovering this precious stone of a gem with you guys. Wes is making happy faces.
Yeah,
Kind of like a fish that fell asleep being bored at a schoolhouse with a hook in his jaw facing behind his head.
He's already ecstatic about all the misery Jason's going to go through.
Yeah, I am excited.
So that'll be fun.
It will be.
But I was playing Sonic 3D Blast not too long ago, and I was playing the Saturn version. So, okay, the Genesis version has better music, and it doesn't have those shitty loading times, but the Saturn version looks better, and it has way better special stages. Like, the special stages are actually... I wish the whole game was like that, because they're really good. It's like Sonic 2, but fully realized, like real 3D special stages. And, like, you know, you're running down the tube or whatever, and you can, like, run up on the wall and shit. But in these ones, it's cooler because the level's all 3D, so it, like, goes up and down hills, it twists around, you go off huge jumps, there's all kinds of fun, crazy stuff. It's really cool. But, you know, the loading times are horrendous. They're, like, 30 seconds a piece every time you go in and out of a stage, every time you lose a life, every time you go into a special stage and come back, you get another 30-second loading screen. It's fucking terrible. I've only finished the game like once or twice just because it takes so long because of the stupid loading times, and that's just going fast through the levels.
Is there any fun, funky, fresh music in the loading screen?
No.
What?
There isn't even any fun, funky, fresh music in the game.
Are there any like silly little animations where
No.
Sonic's tapping his foot and being grumpy or nothing?
Yeah, you'd think that'd be perfect for it, but no. It's literally just a blank or a static loading screen, like loading. Maybe sometimes you get a picture of the map of the island, which really matters because it doesn't matter.
They could have at least tried.
Yeah. Well, that's the one other thing. The game has an in-game map, so if you pause the game, you get a map of the level you're in. Which
do you pause the game, get a 30-second loading
No,
screen, then
thankfully-
look at the map, and then go back, get a 30-second loading screen,
No,
and get back
God,
to the
horrible.
level?
Jeez, no. Terrible.
That's when you tossed it out the window.
No, thankfully that game, at least you can pause it and unpause it without a load. But when you pause it, you do get a map, which the first game didn't have a map, and I could see that being useful because you can get lost and confused in these stages. They're kind of maze-like sometimes, especially for adults like me with miserable senses of direction.
Mm-hmm.
But well, for whatever reason, maybe it's because I played a whole bunch when I was a kid because Sonic, I can get around the levels just fine. Of course, I basically have them memorized now, so it's a moot point. But whatever, I never had a problem.
For anybody
with that.
that's never played it before, a map
Yeah.
is useful.
And then, of course, like I said, the Saturn music is not as good, which you think it would be better. It's on a CD. It should be like the Genesis music, but updated with CD quality music, like they did with Earthworm Jim on Genesis. They put it on Sega CD Special Edition, and they used the same music. They just made it way cooler with real instruments and shit because, you know, CD quality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome. It's some of the best music ever. And then it made it CD, so it's even more better. But no, this Sonic 3D Blast just replaced all the music with like other random, not as good, not as catchy, not as memorable music. It's fine, but there's nothing you want to remember except maybe the title music. It makes me sad.
It's like it could have been good, but now you're comparing it to
Yeah.
the Genesis
They
version,
didn't
which is
polish
better.
it off enough when they could have. It's like
I wonder if they were rushing it at all.
probably.
I think it's because Traveler's Tales, which is the company that helped develop Sonic 3D Blast, both versions. Like Jun Sonoe, who's done the music for like Sonic 3 and a bunch of Sonic games, and still is, I think, to this day. He did the music for 3D Blast. It's really good. That's why you can hear some of it in later games, like on the Dreamcast, you hear some Sonic 3D Blast music in levels. Well, when they made the Saturn version, the weird French guys that work at Traveler's Tales or whatever, I think his name's Richard Jacques, he wanted to, make his own music, I guess. And it's like, well, you made the Sonic R soundtrack, and I really like that, and the cheesy, the lady singing about happy fun times, yay, music. But this isn't that. Like, there's one song like that at the credits, but it's not good. I don't like it. And so that makes me sad. It really is, like, I have to be in a super weird mood to play the Saturn 3D Blast. And even then, like last time, I'll just play long enough to see all the bonus stages. I get all the Chaos Emeralds, and then I usually get bored and stop after that. Because it's like, well, I've seen the best part, and I don't really want to go through the rest of the stages, because even if I go fast, loading times, it's going to take a while, so oh well. And I just stop. But the reason I brought this up, other than to annoy everyone, yet again, they made a PC version, apparently, of Sonic 3D Blast. And I've never played it. I knew it existed, but the only thing I know about it is it's kind of a weird hybrid between the Genesis version and the Saturn version. Like, I think it looks like the Saturn version, like the graphics are better, but it doesn't have the loading times of the Saturn version. I mean, unless you had a really crappy PC, maybe, but...
Well, you'd have to have a really
this is like Windows
computer
95
now
era games, or 98 maybe.
Now your computer would be so advanced it couldn't play it.
Yeah.
That would be
that would be more
now.
likely. Although my computer is just old and shitty enough, it probably would still play it.
Yeah, it's still running on XP, so it's probably fine.
Yeah. But anyway, low loading times, sure. But the thing I want to know the most is, first of all, what's the music like? Is it going to be like weird, shitty MIDI versions of the Saturn and or Genesis music? Is it going to be just the Saturn music again? Is it going to be the Genesis music but actually spiffed up like the Saturn one should have been? I need to know. And also, I want to know what the special stages are like. All I know is the special stages in PC version are a mix between the Genesis's weird pseudo 3D walk forward and dodge crap thing, and the Saturn's fully 3D Sonic 2 style stage. It's like a mix between the two, so I wonder what that's like. I'm thinking it's probably just a weird... like, it's the Saturn bonus stages, but not as good, like not as realized, like less mobility maybe. That's what I'm guessing, but I have no idea. I've never even seen like a picture. Like, I could look up gameplay of it, I'm sure, but I think it'd be more fun to try and play it. I'd have to get a hold of it somehow, but anyway, that's something I'll need to check out eventually. But in the meantime, what have you been up to, Wes? You were sick that other week, weren't you?
Yeah, the week before I was sick as hell from
like the day right after we left too.
From Wednesday to Sunday I was sick, and I had,
which is weird because me and Lauren weren't sick at all. Like, we went to the same places and stuff. We both ate Burger King. We didn't.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but I had a really bad fever, and I had zero appetite. I was forcing myself to eat like one meal a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sucked. And then it was that Monday that I was like sick of sleeping and being in bed all the time, and I was feeling better. So I was like, well, maybe I'll play a little bit of Blood Rain, because I had just, that Tuesday before I had just bought Blood Rain for PS2.
And you were so sick you couldn't even play it.
Yay! So I figured I'd try a little bit of it. And I barely played at all just because I was, like, still out of it. But I did... Last time when we tried to record a podcast and then lost it, I kind of talked about this, but I really do want to talk about this and have it be recorded.
Yeah, because this was a weird thing.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
It was, so I started it up, and they have two different control options to control your character.
Yeah.
They have the normal one, and then they have this alternate one that they were saying, this alternate one, most players find easier to use. And I just thought immediately, oh, easier, I'll pick that. Even though I've played video games before and I probably not have a problem with the other one.
Yeah.
But, so I tried it. I started the training mode, or the little training part. And I was realizing immediately that this is stupid. This alternate control method was ridiculous.
It's unusable. Literally unusable.
Okay, so normally you would move your character with the left stick, right? Because the D-pad is on the left. It always has
Pretty
been
much
forever.
all games, yeah.
When they added the analog sticks, movement was always on the left stick because that's where the D-pad has been forever.
Yeah.
Well, this one allocated the character movement to the right stick.
Gross.
And then it put the camera control, like looking up and down, on the left stick.
Yeah.
And the very first thing that you have to do in the training part is to do a running jump over some water. So I'm running forward with the right stick, and then I go, oh shoot, I have to push X to jump.
Which is right
And
above
then-
the right stick that you're already holding your thumb on.
Yeah.
So you gotta
So
use
how
your
the
thumb
fuck-
for both.
How the fuck do I do that other than use a little
Yeah, use
weird
some
crab claw thing?
grip.
So I'm running towards the water and I'm realizing I have to push X, and then I just run straight through the water and it hurts me.
Great.
So I figured maybe I'll give this a chance, and I tried getting through some more of the training.
After that, I would have just reset immediately.
Yeah, I know. I should have. But I tried getting through some more of the training. I get to the very first enemy, and I have to run up to it and kill it. And I go to run up to it, and I look down. Because
You
I
pushed the left
forgot,
stick.
and I pushed left stick, and I looked straight down at the floor.
Whoops.
And I went, okay, that's enough of this bullshit.
Yeah.
So I restarted, and I used the normal control method, and I was like, wow, this is way easier and totally instinctual.
Well, that's like when you're
Yeah.
playing a first-person shooter and you've got the people who push up to look up and down to look down. And
Monsters.
yeah, Jason and I are.
Yeah, I always
The reverse
use
controls.
I always use
You
the
push up to look down and down to look up because you're controlling your head.
Yeah.
It's like looking
you pull
down.
back your head to look up, and you move
yeah.
forward
I
to look.
I always use the aviation controls for that, and it just
Just
is
makes
easier.
more sense. It feels right. Like
Yeah,
don't
that's
you people
why
have
that's
necks
why I went to move
or
forward.
spatial awareness?
That's why I went to move forward and looked at the floor.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you were hitting up to look or move forward, but it was up to look down. So if you were looking, it would have been that's,
it's if you imagine it, imagine the joystick just sitting on the table is the top of somebody's head, and you push it forwards, and they're looking down at the ground. You pull it back, and they're looking up at the sky.
That's why every aeroplane fly-mabobber in the history of ever is like that with their stickadoodles and movement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because whenever playing like first-person shooters or something with friends or our cousins or our uncle, and it's like they hand us a stick, and it's like the controller. It's like, here, you try it. And
First
you,
thing we do
first thing you do is try to look,
movement. It's like,
aim, and
looking
now I'm
down.
looking
It's
at the
like,
floor.
Nope.
Where's the options? Change.
Options.
Where's the
Invert controls.
Okay, there it is.
Switch.
Okay, now I can beat the game.
Now
and
it's
then,
good.
Yeah, I usually do, and then you hand it back to them, and they go, "Oh, okay."
Why the
And
hell am I looking at the ground?
They're looking at the
It's like,
floor.
because I'm a human being. What's your problem, weirdo, Mr. McNonecky?
Yeah, I really don't get how people can do it that way, but
Yeah,
I guess it's
it's-
just a matter of what you originally played as and got used to.
I don't know what the fuck they were thinking when they used that, like made that control scheme, and then were like, hey, it'll be easier.
Right stick move, but then you also have to push like all the
you-
buttons that are on the right side.
With your right hand that's already using stick.
The other
It's
thing
impossible.
is that you can't strafe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you said that you can't strafe,
Yeah,
which is
so
integral to most shooting games.
In the normal controls, you move forward and backwards with the left stick, and then you
strafe
strafe left and right with the left stick.
And then you look with the right stick.
And then you turn right and left with the right stick.
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually the default controls. I have the GameCube version's manual right here, and those are the default controls. Other than it says there's an L button and an L button instead of an L button and an R button. But
then they stick the move forward and backwards and turn left and right on the same stick, and then you can't strafe for some reason, even though you have another stick.
But it's easier.
Terrible.
Like if they were going to put the turn and the move forward and backwards on one stick, why wouldn't they just put them on the left stick and then have strafe on the other side if you wanted to do that?
You'd think you'd at least do that, but no. But switching the move to the right, which is that
it's just completely backwards. It doesn't make sense.
It literally becomes unplayable because you got to use all those other buttons with the same thumb that you're using to move. So it's like, oh wait, I got to jump. Well, I'm going to stop moving so I can jump. Oh wait, I didn't go anywhere because I stopped moving.
Yeah, I just jumped straight up in the air.
Yeah, I had to let go of the stick to jump, and now I'm just jumping in the air like a jackass. And
that's retarded.
Didn't you say there was only 2 controllers set? Like, you could choose from type A or B, basically.
Yes, yeah.
Because the GameCube version here says control style. Choose one of the 6 preset controller configurations. I wonder if they made the PlayStation 2 version first and they made the GameCube one later and did it better.
Maybe.
Because not only are the default controls displayed like the normal good ones where you move and strafe with left sticky and look around with the right one, there's 6 preset configurations along with like all the adjust look speed and auto center and invert looking and all that fun shit. So, yeah, I wonder if the GameCube one they polished it a bit more, because...
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't even know it was on PlayStation 2 until you said you had it.
Yeah, it's funny, we were actually, we were at the game store today, and I looked over and I was like, oh, there's Blood Rain on Xbox.
Yeah, I saw it too. Sitting there, it's like, oh.
So it was on every system.
Yeah, it was one of those every system games, and everybody thought they had the best version, because it was on their system.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, going back to the invert thing, like, one of the first games I played that had, invert controls, like, for first person or flight or whatever, was Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. And I played that for the first time, and I remember using the Type B controls, which was press up to move up and down to fly down. Because I was a kid, I wasn't used to, like, good controls.
Yeah,
up is up,
when you're doing that, all you're thinking about is moving the cursor.
Down.
It's like, I'm moving the cursor up and down instead of thinking of moving the plane.
And then shortly after, I played Star Fox 64 for the first time at like a relative's house or something. And aside from being blown away by everything, the graphics, the music, how big and loud it was, how cool it looked, how much better the polygons and shit was, and Super Nintendo, the talking, everything. Like, I was like, okay, the controls in this, it's like a real stick, like down to go up and up to go down, and it took me a bit to get used to, but then it felt natural. And then I go back to my Super Nintendo Star Fox, and ever since then, it's just, I'm using the normal controls, like flying controls, down, press down to pull up, push up to fly down. And it makes sense. Even on the control pad, it makes sense with no analog. It's just more natural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever somebody gets used to is what they end up getting used to, and
the people that get used to the other version will never become pilots.
I think.
Yeah.
What was the first game that had 3D that we used on the computer? Because
first game we played on 4D boxing was the first game with 3D.
Well, the
graphics,
actual where you can look around, like I think it was Quake. It might have been Quake.
Well, I mean, you could look around and shit in Hexen and Heretic.
Yeah, but that one,
it
wasn't mouse look. You had to use the keyboard to look up and down, and it was all cheesy, and you never
Quake might have been the first one. Even though it was the demo for the longest time, it was Quake, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the default in that was, you push up to look down and down to look up, and that was the original thing. And nowadays, most games default to the push up to look up and down to look down. And it's very annoying because the first thing I do is go and invert it. I don't even play the game first. I just invert on because I know it's going
to do that.
It's going to do
Although occasionally I get the game, like I'll go, like Deadly Premonition, I went right away into the options before I even played it, switched to invert controls, and then I went back into it, and I think it was wrong. Like, oh wait, I'm pushing up and it's looking up. Like, fuck, oops. I mean, that
One of the rare
like,
games
there's
that
still games
actually-
that will have it reversed at the start, but I mean, it's the kind of thing you never know until you play, really. But you can usually assume they're going to invert the controls wrongly, and you need to exvert their invert or invert their non-verts or whatever. Devert the dirt.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yes.
So, Jason, you play anything in Mario Maker lately?
No.
How much new stuff have they added? Because I haven't played it since it originally came out.
Well, since it came out, they added a few things. Like, you can get keys to open doors. You can get red coins, and if you get the amount that you can put up to like 10 or something in a spot, and you collect them all, and you get a key for opening the door. They have P switches that activate doors now. They have like weird bouncy donuts you can bounce on. There's really not a whole lot they added to it, other than they kept adding like costumes for the mushrooms that you unlock by, like, you beat one of their little silly online levels, and it's like, now I can play as Areno. This is awesome. And he's got his little noises and stuff, which, unless you know who Reno and Game Center CX, all that stuff, like, it's just gonna go over your head. Like, oh, look, I'm playing some noisy Japanese guy or some weird fucking mascot I've never seen. It's like, well, that's the mascot for Famitsu magazine, which even I had to think about that one for a bit. It's like, you'd look at it and go, oh, it's just some weird badger raccoon thing wearing Mario overalls. What the fuck is this? But for all that weird Japanese stuff, especially, they'll actually give you a description for the level you play to unlock them, which the levels are easy. You unlock them pretty easy. But they'll say, like, oh, this is a thing that's this in Japan or whatever, and he's been pretty popular or whatever.
And then you can go, oh,
Or there's
interesting.
stuff that was released in America that even I'm not familiar with. It's like, oh, it's from some game series I never played, but whatever. More costumes, unlock them. Other than using the amiibo for unlocking stuff, which you only have to do once, but...
Are people still making those insanely god-awful, impossible
Yeah,
levels
there's
that
always
you always
people
beat first?
Yeah, there's always going to be people making nightmare stages, and at some point I was just tired of
'Cause
playing it. Cause
Jason was like the best player in the world on Mario Maker stages, beating nightmare stages days before
several
anybody
nightmare
else,
levels, and I would not only beat them, but like beat them really super faster and first and faster than most people, and to the point where I'd get one internet personality, certain person going, wow, this guy is a monster. I'm paraphrasing, but he called me a monster, you know, like, well, we have a monster among us. He beat this super nightmare stage in like 5 seconds, where it took me days and most people days, and he just beat it super fast and easy, and wow. So that was funny.
Then
I
you got
that.
bored.
Yeah, then I got bored. It's like, okay, I've seen how bad and crazy the levels can get, and, you know, there's always going to be people making interesting new ones, and occasionally I'll check in, but I don't know. There's really not much left for me there, so...
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting back on and looking at the new stuff about making new stages, because I had fun making stages. Jason was more about playing the stages, and I was more about making stages. So it worked. I'd make a stage and then make him play it.
Loran likes to build Lego sets. Jason likes to play with them.
Something like that.
Sure. Or I like to watch it sit on the shelf and gather dust next to like 100 fucking amiibo just sitting there staring at me. But it's Waluigi.
Judging you.
And Gold Mario, he's so cool, and Boo Diddley goes in the dark, and he's all like, ooh.
But don't they judge you silently?
Well, yeah,
Constantly.
that just comes with the territory. I knew what I was getting into the day I got my first amiibo.
Good thing we didn't get into Skylanders.
How many amiibos do you have?
Well, I didn't do an exact count, but if it's not 100, it's very close to 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
How many
lot.
are there?
A lot.
Probably a few more than 100, maybe like 130 at the most, probably, honestly.
Well, they're
So
they're
you
really
need
hard
so
to
you need
get.
to
A lot of
collect
them.
all. Collect them all.
People buy them up and then just like scalp them
Yeah, and as soon
online
as
for 5
some
times
come
as
out,
much.
certain ones they'll buy them up all right away, and then they'll try and gouge. Like the Gold Mario, when it came out, people were buying those like in 5 at once, and then they go online and try and resell them for thousands of dollars, and it's like, that's horseshit.
Yeah, I've literally seen people trying to sell the box for the Gold Mario.
Yeah, just the box
for like $100.
And it's like, you know what? I like these amiibo, but fuck you.
So they
I'm
sell
not
them
that
separate,
insane.
like they sell the amiibo by itself and then the box separately, so they can make more money. On
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, look, I found the box.
The amiibo economy for a
Don't
while
you
is
want it to be
fucking
complete?
insane. And
An ass.
once people realized amiibos are kind of useless, and everyone's like, the majority of people have stopped collecting them or really giving a shit much about them anymore.
But they look cool.
They look cool, but that's fine
But
because
they're
prices
basically
have dropped
useless.
online at
well,
least.
I guess. But the nice thing is, I've gone into like, game stores or whatever, and I've been able to get several amiibo, used. It's just amiibo, no box or whatever. But they sell them used. It's like, all I care about is the amiibo. And it's like, look, it's a fucking amiibo I wouldn't get normally because they stopped making them like a year ago, and they're hard to find. And here it is for like $8 instead of the full 16 or whatever. So, yay! And they've even gone back and like remade newer ones. I was able to finally get a fucking Mega Man amiibo not too long ago, and that's one of the ones I wanted since day one, and I could never find it because it was like a Target exclusive, and all the Target exclusive ones I couldn't get because I never went to a fucking Target because there isn't a Target near me.
And they were already bought out and scalped anyway.
Yeah. But I finally found one at GameStop the other day. It's like, wow, geez, they made more Mega Mans, and they finally sold them at GameStop. So hooray for me! This is awesome. And they got a little Mega Man figure. He's so cool. He's so detailed and neat. He stands next to Ryu and Sonic, and oh man, they're gonna make Cloud and Bayonetta. I want them. Oh, it's so cool. But
I can't judge you too harshly, because that would be me if I found like all of the regular Star Trek Next Generation figures, like regular Picard.
I want those too.
Regular
Goddamn.
Riker.
Yeah, I want a normal Riker. I don't want Riker as a Malthorian or
the
Worf
only-
in his
the only-
party uniform. Like,
The only normal uniformed one I have is Data, and
Yeah.
I'm
and the
very
only
happy
normal
about that.
uniform
At
one
least.
that I have is Lieutenant Barclay and Q. And Q's not even a member of the crew. he's just being an asshole. Yeah, he's wearing the captain outfit just to be a jerk. But Q is awesome, so that's great. But
I wish I had Q too. But
I have Geordi, but he's in the dress uniform, so he can't bend his legs, and he's stupid.
I actually probably want Q also in like that stupid judge outfit where he's sitting
when
in
you
the
first
big
see
chair.
him, and he's like all dressed up, spooky judge-looking man.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool too. Yeah, with his big stupid throne.
But I mean, I'm super happy that I at least have Data in normal uniform, because he's my favorite character, and I want all of them in
I've
their
got a
normal
Data with
uniforms.
like the 1920s gangster hat,
Yeah, the
zoot suit Data, but that's
the ones that I would want the most in their normal uniforms would be
The main crew.
Data, which I already have. Worf, because he's my second favorite character. Picard.
Riker.
Probably Riker, because
I
he's
definitely
a
want Riker.
lovable dick.
Yeah, he's just
And-
banging everything. It's not.
Yeah.
nailed down. I'm actually in the middle of
he's-
watching an episode where he's like probably going to have sex with yet another alien lady person. It's like, wow, geez, he can't keep it.
And then I probably want Geordi.
Yeah, Geordi would be cool. Like
But
I wanted Geordi, so I got that dress
those are
one,
like
but
those are like the ones that I would want the most, and then the rest I would
it'd
be able
like,
to live without.
well, yeah.
Live without. But if I did find them for a
It's
good
like,
price,
that'd be
I'd
a
probably
bonus.
But you
pick
must
'em up.
complete the whole Enterprise.
Oh, and then you have to buy an Enterprise set and like set them up in their stations properly. And I like it better when you have them in goofy positions. I especially like how you have Data, like he's all casual, relaxed, like on his side with his elbow.
Yeah,
and
he's
his head
like
and
he's
his
like in
hand.
that calendar girl pose on his
Yeah.
side with his head in his hand and his
And I
leg
thought
up
that's
all-
hilarious.
Yeah.
And the best part is, sometime later, I was watching random Star Trek episodes on TV, and I saw an episode where Data got possessed by some otherworldly blah de blah, and he was
In that
in a
exact
personality.
same pose.
He was like being a jerk ass, and that personality possessing him. He was lying on that same exact pose, just on the work table or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, that's Wes's data right there. It's exactly the same.
And the funny thing is, I mean, I've seen all the episodes, but I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was
completely.
Like you just happened to have him like.
Yeah,
in
and I was like, that'd be
pose,
funny
like,
if he was posed like this. Yay, he can do it.
And then it's
and then
Wes, I saw your data on TV. And it's like, what? Yeah, he was all doing the lazy dude. It was cool. So Amiibos.
I also do have I do have Picard as as
Borg.
Locutus of Borg.
That one's cool
which
too.
is cool.
You're making him ice skate or
Yeah,
whatever.
because that was one of the best episodes there where he got captured and assimilated by the Borg.
Yeah, I'm still halfway through season 5, and then I'll have season 6 to watch, and then I'll have to get 7 somewhere by that point. So hopefully they come out with it finally. But yeah, it's Amiibos are neat. Like that gold Mario that they were selling online for so freaking much. I literally found it in a GameStop like a month ago, maybe not even, barely, and brand new in the box, $15 or whatever they cost. Like, cool. Now I have the Mario going, yay, and then the silver and gold Mario's right next to him in the same pose going, yay.
Now you got to get the silver one.
I have the silver one.
Oh.
Gold, silver, and normal Mario all sitting there like, yay!
What about
and I have
bronze?
Smash Brothers Mario.
Is there a bronze Mario?
No. Well, that's normal Mario because he's a jerk.
He's only bronze.
And Wario and Waluigi, I have them, and they're so cool.
I want a Proto Man one.
I'm
That'd be
gonna
awesome.
I'm gonna steal your Wario.
No. Like $15. Why don't you just get one yourself, man?
Because it'd be fun to steal it from you instead,
No.
That's something Wario
and it would be
do.
free.
No, the annoying thing would be if you found a Smash Brothers version of Wario, because this Wario is like Mario version. They have different versions of Amiibo, and I don't have the Smash Brothers version of Wario or Rosalina, but
What's the difference?
Different
different
poses,
they look different.
Sometimes different costumes.
Yeah, the Wario that Smash Brothers version, he's like in his WarioWare outfit with like the helmet and the ripped
And
jackets,
the
jacket
the
sleeves,
biker outfit.
biker vest, whatever.
Oh, that's right, because one of his attacks is to get on his motorcycle and just ram somebody.
But I like the Wario better in his classic yellow and purple.
Yeah, I would too.
But yeah, I mean, they're cool. But speaking of Amiibo...
You know what would be cool? Is if you could pose the Wario Amiibo to where he's slapping his ham ass.
Oh, yeah. Giving those big Thanksgiving ham hocks a good buttery slap. Slippity slap, don't come back. Be-doo bop boop bop. I got a par. Boop-a-doo bop boop bop.
And then
I'm way too happy about
and
this.
then you could have little letters above his head that said par.
Yeah.
And slapping his rump.
Yeah.
And tweedly-deeing his eyebrows at you, all provocatively.
I mean, they do have like little Nintendo figures about Amiibo size that you could actually kind of bend and pose with their arms and shit a bit.
Really?
Because I have like some that are like that.
I don't know if you could bend him over enough,
Well,
though.
you could if there is one, I'm sure there is, you could definitely move his arms. So you could actually move his arm and like make him, do the slappy motion. So that's something to consider. For the future. It's super important.
It is.
But anyway, so speaking of Amiibo, we just got done with an Amiibo festival.
Wait, we talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Wait, did we?
Yeah. You don't even remember what we talked about right now.
Oh. Wait, did we talk about that?
We did talk about it some, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we talked about who won it and stuff, but...
And then there's no mini games whatsoever.
Yeah, the whole thing is, like, I don't think we... Like,
we didn't go into super detail about it, I guess.
Like, basically I just wanted to say, like, so I got about 15 Animal Crossing Amiibo. They probably have more, maybe, I don't know. Those are all the ones I've ever found. We all grabbed one, and it's like, you're this whichever character. I was Blathers, and yeah, you tap the Amiibo to the controller at the start of every turn. Now,
Which is a little unnecessary.
yeah, like, you're already passing the controller around, which is gross, but... I mean, there's no simultaneous play of any kind, so whatever.
You kind of do need this... Well, you don't really need the screen, but they utilize the screen.
Yeah, a bit.
Basically, all they need to do is push A to roll the dice.
But
No,
the weird thing is, like, okay, they're utilizing the screen for some stuff, but then when you want to use one of your items, like a card or whatever, you select it with the D-pad
on the TV.
on the TV.
You
So,
don't poke it on.
like,
It's in your inventory.
it's right there on the
screen.
inventory. You could just poke it with your finger, but no, they don't.
You
utilize
actually
it for
can
that.
poke it and it'll like highlight it and tell you what it does, but it's like, why can't I just select it from here? I'm already touching it. No, you gotta highlight it with you're on the menu on the screen. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Anyway, but you touch your amiibo to the controller every time
Every
to roll the
in,
die.
in order to roll the die.
It's like you could have literally just done
Why
push
can't
A.
you just...
You hold your little guy to the controller, and while he's there, the die spins,
and then you let
and
go.
then you
and
let go, and it drops the die and
Now-
whatever.
Let me ask a perfectly good question. Why couldn't you just scan him once to start the game so you know, like, I'm ladders, and then at the end of the game, scan them a second time to save all the shit because you earn, like, experience for...
Because you do that
unlocks.
anyway.
Yeah, you do that anyway. Why do you have to click them on the thing every fucking turn? Like, are they worried you're going to start a game of Animal Crossing at someone's house, leave with your amiibo, and then they're going to play a full game of Animal Crossing without having the amiibo? Oh, no.
I guess.
And then they wouldn't even be able to
Play.
save it at the end, so what the hell does it matter? It's so weird. I don't understand it. Why would you do that? All for a game that's not very good.
It's pretty good.
no,
No, I won't say it's not. It is not a very good game.
So
but
you did like Dr. Shrunk's jokes? His side-splitting, gut-busting, knee-slapping good times?
No, well, I kind of like the one where he said, your cure for insomnia is to listen to my jokes for a couple minutes.
Well, he's
Or
not
whatever.
wrong. I'll give him that.
Yeah, that was like the one sort of funny thing he said.
But it's not that
But-
they aren't funny. They just don't make sense.
Yeah, it's yeah, you're right. It's not a very good game. I'll say that.
Yay.
However,
Oh.
I do like it better than Mario Party.
It's barely a friggin' game.
I know it's barely a game at all,
Oh.
but I still like it better than Mario Party.
I'll show you. We got 6 more of these fucking games to play, plus Sonic Shovel.
I'm
Well,
excited.
I
Wait,
do know of a game that doesn't take the amiibos. It doesn't take anything at all other than your imagination.
No,
Lauren,
no.
that's crazy
no,
talk.
No. Everything
A
needs
game,
electricity.
a game that can be played with only imagination,
Balderdash and
And,
Poppycock.
well, a piece of paper would
Well,
be helpful.
a piece of paper.
I can't afford
And
that.
something to
Now,
write
come
with.
on, Lauren. You must be talking about a board game that comes with a board and pieces and cards and fake money, something like that, right?
A Monopoly or a Life or a
no.
Parch.
No,
Yay.
you don't even get those things?
How could this
Truly,
be?
you use only your imagination? What could it be?
A game that Jason never wants to play.
Oh.
Jason doesn't have an imagination. What could it be?
No, I do not.
The suspense is killing
Dungeons.
me.
And dragons. So yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons? Does it involve dungeons and
It
dragons?
involves both. And many more things.
Whoa.
But nobody ever wants to play it.
Yeah.
Other than Wes. Wes likes playing it.
I
It's
would totally
because-
play it, but then playing it with 2 people sucks
Well,
because one is the DM
but
and
then
then one is like, yay, I'm
Even
controlling
if I
5
played
characters.
that's only 3 people, we need like 10 people, and then everyone has to meet
No,
every
I'm-
fucking day.
I've done 10 people and it just gets
well,
totally
not literally 10,
sidetracked
like
and-
more than 3.
The I think the most you need is a DM and then maybe 3 players.
Yeah, that's probably like
That's
So
that's
3
like
more
the
total.
that's like the minimum.
so yeah. If you
4 or
have
5 people would be perfect.
that's literally like
But
perfect, but it's
we
so
don't
much
have that.
fun that nobody ever wants to have because it's they look at it and think, oh, this is complicated and retarded because there's numbers that I got to keep track of and all this
No,
other
that's
stuff.
not the part that bothers me.
either that or they're excited to play and then we start playing and they get bored immediately.
Yeah,
That's more my speed. Like, okay, so I like using like fighter type people in these types of swords and spootery games. I always have. Like, I like dudes who can just go in there and like beat the shit out of everything. Hooray! But and we talked about this. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Like, I'm thinking of it like, oh, it's my turn. I'll do the equivalent of pressing the X button, I guess. I'll walk up and hit monster. Like, and that's where I guess the fun comes from, is like imagining all the cool ways. Like, I'm gonna run up and beat that monster in the head and chop off his leg and then hit him with his own leg, and it's gonna be silly. Like, I don't think of that right away. I'm just like, I want to do D6 damage to monster.
Yeah, well, the other fun part is to, like, create a character and with a personality, and then as the game goes on, you can actually, like, evolve. Like, the character can evolve and become something different than you originally imagined. Like
Butterfree?
Like my character, which was a freak.
Oh.
Yes, Wes had a really awesome character.
A
in the
Kakuna,
last
and
game
then he
we were
became a
playing.
Beedrill.
He originally started as... He was a big human who...
Was raised by minotaurs.
He was raised by minotaurs.
So he thought he was a small, hairless minotaur.
Yeah.
With.
And his name was Don Quixote.
Nice.
And he ran around with bull's horns tied to his head.
Not even like a helmet with bull's horns, just tied.
No, just tied to his head with, like, rope.
These are temporary until my real ones grow in, okay?
Yeah, he's very sensitive about them.
But
Talk
then,
about
like,
my horns.
and then
cold
like you were
out.
talking about with the combat, I get into combat and I almost never used my axe.
Yeah, we were playing the 4th
I've-
edition, which most people don't like because it's like, oh, you get certain abilities. Well, the people who played Dungeons and Dragons don't like number 4. People who have never played, it's great because it's super easy to learn, and it literally gives you a list like a World of Warcraft or something. It's like, here's 3 different attacks and what they do. So if you're a warrior, you're not like, oh, well, I guess I'll go hit it with my sword, because it gives you options.
You get some abilities, but then it's like
but
you can
Wes-
use it once per
Wes
encounter,
never
and it's
used
like,
them.
I never used those abilities. It
I
wasn't.
better not waste this thing because I can only use it once this encounter.
I felt like I had less fun using the abilities because I'm like, oh, that's what they do, I guess. But instead, I would just go, I'm gonna charge at him with my horns and try and push him over that ledge, or I'm gonna pick him up and throw him against the wall, or
Choke him.
choke him, or it just. And
Choke
Loran
his
would just
chicken.
come up with like, okay, roll this, and it would do like some sort of melee damage or something.
Yeah.
But I wanted to choke his chicken and then throw him on the ground and stomp on his face, and I was just coming with all sorts of creative ways of doing the same attack, basically.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'm in the corner like,
And
hold
that-
on, I need to roll 1d4 so I can walk closer to you and then activate maneuver.
And then
More like you're in the corner playing a video game, ignoring us.
and then my character evolved or devolved into this weird sexual deviant where I'd kill a guy and then I'd start like having sex with him with my horn
God.
or something.
Damn.
Well, there's the one guy you choked unconscious, and then
Oh, I
had your
had
way
my-
with
Yeah, that's
him,
right.
and then slit his throat.
Ugh.
Yeah. Why not? The body's still
Okay.
Well,
Right.
except for that zombie that had been dead for who knows how long.
warm. Oh yeah, and then there
Better
would
toss
be
that one in the microwave for 2 minutes before you have a go.
and then there would be times where we'd enter a room and we'd search it for loot or whatever, and then we would find a few things, and then I'd be like, "Wait, I want to destroy the room now."
Yeah.
So
Throw it all
just
in the
because-
pile in the middle and
I
burn
would
it.
just hack all the furniture up into kindling, and then I'd throw it in the fireplace and just burn it all,
Ah,
just because there wasn't anything useful. So why not?
Because yeah,
that's not like the rules say. You have to be going and smart in the rooms and do smartness with surgery and roll a 1d6.
I am a minotaur. I destroy things.
I'm going
Roar.
to roll this dice, and if I get a 7 between 13 and 7, I can search under the desk. Otherwise, I have to stand up.
Oh, you remember Sean's character?
oh yeah, Sean had an awesome character because
boy.
first time he was over and we were playing D&D, he's like, "Nah, I'll pass on D&D." And then he heard some of the stuff that Wes was doing to this poor unconscious guy, and he's like,
And he thought,
"Wait,
"Oh, I
you
gotta
can
get
do
in on
what?"
this.
Wait, you can rape people in this game? What's going on?
He's like, "I've
I'm
got to get
intrigued
in on
now.
this." So he's like, "I want to
Yay,
play."
I'm so
and
glad
it's
you
like,
wanna
okay,
play
what?
now.
The point of the game is you can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
so I'm like, all right, what do you want to do? And he's like, can I be a retired river dancer?
Michael Flatley?
Yeah, Michael Flatley.
Was that
Lord
it?
of the
Yes.
Dance.
And
It
I'm
was
like, all
apparently a
right,
real
sure.
person.
So I
Yeah,
basically
he's real.
turned a bard into this river dancer, and for his
In
attacks,
tweedly
Oh, we
spandex.
made him a
Oh.
satyr too.
yeah, and he's also a satyr, so he has hooves for this river dancing, and his attacks I'd basically just take the bard attacks or whatever they have and translate them into a thing that made sense for. He's kicking the guy with his feet. He'd literally dance up to people and then kick them in the nuts.
Yeah.
Dance him to death.
And then we decided to
it's
have...
like Footloose mixed with Mad Max.
We decided that he should have, since he's a retired river dancer, he should have a fame check.
Yeah, so it's like every time an intelligent creature sees him,
hey,
I would have to roll the check
box.
to see whether or not they recognize and know who he is. And if they know who he is, I do a check because they would either completely love him and not want to hurt him at all, or completely hate him and focus on him completely.
No one's like, I know him, he's okay.
He's a completely polarizing character that if somebody recognizes him, would either go, I hate that guy, or it's like,
I hate how
love
much
him.
I love him.
Give me an autograph.
Yeah, they would either hate him and focus on their attacks completely on him, which would leave the rest of us to attack them from behind or whatever we wanted to do, or they would they would love him and fawn over him and want his autograph and be distracted, and we could do the same thing.
Or try not to hurt him. It's like, please, I love you, don't hurt me.
Maybe they'd even turn, I don't think we did this, but maybe they'd even turn on other...
That would be hilarious.
On their allies that were trying to hurt him.
What? Bob, what do you mean you don't... This guy's a genius.
Don't hurt Michael Flatley! And
his music is the
attacking
best.
him.
How dare you?
We had a lot of weird characters in that game. Patrick was playing, and he was an Oompa Loompa.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was
escaped from Willy Wonka's.
Yeah, he escaped from Willy Wonka's factory with the intent to find
you basically use the stats from a halfling, right?
Yeah, I use like the halfling stats, and then of course he's a bard because it's an Oompa Loompa. They sing.
Yeah, so we had two bards, but who cares?
We had two bards, but the way they attacked was completely different.
Yeah.
Because Patrick was using the actual 4th edition things where he's using a weapon with swords and stuff instead of hooves, but they were the same type of character, but they played it completely differently, which is the awesome thing about that game. D&D is you can do things however you want. But yeah, his Oompa Loompa wanted to take over the world by discovering all the alchemical things that Willy Wonka figured out, and then to go back and kill Willy Wonka and take over the factory. Yeah. That was his goal in life. And then my character that I was running, even though I was DM, was a kobold Jedi who was an evil dark Jedi, but he didn't realize he was a Jedi. He just thought he was like a prophet of Tiamat. So he had no clue where his powers and things were coming from.
Yeah, he was just using force powers.
But he was using force powers, and he thought it was like magic, divine abilities, and it's amusing. And then I made a character for Jason who was a changeling ranger who had no personality because Jason never played it. So he kind of just followed us around and shot arrows at things.
Well, remember we were on this big campaign, and we got to the last dungeon.
Yeah, we're currently in the last dungeon, but we've never gotten back to it.
We were able to get in like a back way.
Yeah, you found the secret entrance,
we found the secret entrance
behind the Dragon Lord's chair.
We ended up in this one chamber with these two guys that were just playing chess or something.
Yeah, there was two people playing chess.
Yeah, and they were basically ignoring us.
Yeah.
And we were just like, oh, this is weird. And I think Patrick decided to try and convince them to leave, and we just thought those two people were gonna leave the room, that's what would happen. So he rolled such a high number that he convinced them to leave. Turns out they were the leaders of the whole group in the dungeon, and what we convinced them to do was pack up and move everybody out of the dungeon. So we beat the dungeon. Like that
must have been a really convincing speech.
It was great. And then we convinced them to let us help them move out, so we stole a bunch of stuff while we were helping them move out. And then I was able to convince one of the leaders to give me one of his undead guys as a concubine.
Ew.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds hot.
That was one of the most satisfying ways to beat that dungeon, I think, rather than slaughtering your way through it.
That's the best part about D&D is because the flexibility. If your GM is flexible enough, which I usually am, it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be just go in and hack and slash all the things and loot the room. You could literally
Yeah, it's
do
a
what
lot-
they did.
I would
and-
think it would be more fun for the DM if the players figured out a way to just bypass some shit that they were putting in their way.
Yeah, that's
Like,
the best part about the thing is when people come up with things that you never thought of, and then you have to sit there and go, "Huh, I bet you that probably worked. Let's find out."
yeah,
It's like
it's fun.
so yeah, but nobody ever wants to play it, and that makes me sad. But yeah, it's fun, and all you really need is a piece of paper and a pencil, and that's really all you need.
If Sean ever comes back, then fine, I'll play it. Or
Yeah, I
whatever,
mean,
because
The problem is
that'd be enough people to make
Sean,
it.
Sean's days off don't line up with ours right now, and
And then the fact that we work overnights and he doesn't.
yeah,
Well,
so it's it might not happen, but who knows?
Yeah, I have
Optimism.
another.
Yeah.
I have another campaign world that I would like to play in that is a basically post-apocalyptic Dungeons and Dragons world. So it's like Mad Max style stuff in medieval era, where magic destroyed the world and everything's deserts and yeah.
You remember for my Don Quixote character, I was trying to find some kind of image to represent him, and then I came across this Marvel villain that I'd never heard of before, named Man-Bull,
Yeah,
and
Oh, yeah.
he was like the spitting image
of what you
because he was
imagined.
just a big guy.
Just
with
this really big
bull
guy with
horns.
bull horns.
And I mean, the bullhorns were attached to his head, but I just imagined that they were tied on instead because it's funnier.
Yeah, so that's hilarious.
So I was like, "Yay, Man-Bull! He's totally Don Quixote. It's great."
Yeah,
I didn't have to draw some dumb picture. This is man.
This is scribble drag. Just imagine it, but better looking. I gotta get an artist to do it professional junk like. To DeviantArt.
Yeah.
yeah. Of all the D&D games I've played, it's like there's always fun stuff to do. It's just a matter of getting the people. And yeah, if you get too many
Yeah,
people in there, then you get side conversations going on where everybody gets sidetracked away from the game.
I really think the best number of players, not including the DM, the best number of players is probably between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have 3 and 5 people actually playing, and then the DM,
Because
that's
I
yeah.
did play a couple sessions of a D&D game with some other people, and we had I think we had about 7 or 8 players, and that was just too many. It took us
Yeah.
forever to get through one turn.
yeah, because
Yeah, even
it's
if
like
everyone's
everybody's
doing everything as fast as possible, at some point there's so many people you're waiting forever for a turn.
Yeah, and
Well-
plus the DM that we had was not good because, I mean, one of the first things that I wanted to do, I said, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this," and he said, "I don't think that's such a good idea." I'm like, "Well, this game is gonna be fun."
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a DM, you can't tell people what they can't do. It's like if they go, "Oh, I want to try and jump off that cliff," it's like, "Okay, go for it. See what happens."
Yeah, if it's something that would normally kill somebody, you should figure out a way to make them not die, maybe be mortally wounded, and then they can save themselves later. I don't know, but
Yeah.
but if it's something that would normally kill them and they're like, "I want to do it anyway," then try to not kill them.
Yeah.
But other
yeah,
than
let
that,
them do
just
what
let
they
them do
want.
what they want.
you could go, well, it's probably a bad idea, but if you really want to, okay.
You are stupid. Here, roll the dice.
2020.
Yeah, because
Get a 14.
I mean, really, the point of a DM is you don't want to kill the players,
no.
but you want to make them feel like it's still a challenge and that they might die.
Yeah, so you can't be afraid to kill them, but at the same time, you don't want to just set out to kill them.
Yeah.
So it's all a
It's
matter
got to be
of
challenging. It's got to
their
be challenging enough
ideas
to be interesting and fun, but not so much that it's
what
just a
their
death
choices
trap.
are. So, because it can be the most fun you possibly have if you find just a small group of people that can play and have fun together and aren't sitting there
It's
pulling
just
on their phone up YouTube videos or
yeah.
talking about what they ate for lunch yesterday.
It's
Look, this
just
guy ate a jellyfish.
it's just hard to find like enough people whose schedules all line up that are willing to get together at least once a month.
Yeah, it's
You got to do at least once a month, I think. to-
yeah, at
Otherwise,
minimum
you'll
once a
forget what
month.
the hell you're doing.
You probably want to do it twice a month
Yeah,
at least, but
once a week would be awesome, but
Yeah.
once every 2 weeks would be even acceptable. But yeah, it's the hardest game to ever get the people you need, but it's the
yeah.
best fun you'll ever have if you actually manage
Yeah,
to play.
It is a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing that when we were.
So yeah, it's worth it. And I have things I want to do, but nobody ever wants to play.
Yeah.
Say, Jason, what do you have there?
Why, how observant, yes.
It is a One Punch Man book, manga thing. So, yeah.
Is that number 9? I haven't read that
It's
one.
number 9. Yeah.
I need to read that one.
I read this. It's the most recent one right now, and I read it a while ago whenever it came out. And yeah, I'm really glad you turned us on to One Punch Man, because I remember seeing it all over the place and being like, well, they must be popular.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these books sold. And then you got it one day, and you were like, this is really good. And I was like, well, it's a guy who punches things and kills them with one punch. That's silly.
Yeah, it's like when you read the premise, it doesn't seem like they can go very far with it, but they find
But now
a way.
they're on volume 9, and it's
Yeah.
really good.
Well, the funny thing is, I had never even seen it at the comic store. I had never heard of it, and then I saw a preview for the anime, and I saw that, and I was like, this looks amazing.
I
and
could have
then-
actually watched a bit of that on TV when I was at my parents' house
Really?
the other day. I didn't
Yeah.
because I had
Well,
to go
I
to
thought
sleep,
I
but-
thought it looked amazing, but I don't have cable anything. All I have is the internet.
and they only had like one episode. It was like episode
Yeah.
7. It's like, well, I could watch this random episode in English with
But
weird.
then-
I don't know.
But then I saw the manga there at the comic store, and I was like, well, I really wanted to see the anime, but here this is, so it's probably good too. Yay! And I
And
grabbed
it's
it.
number 1, so I'm not missing anything. By
Yeah.
oh look, it's episode 13. What the
And-
hell's going on?
Yeah, volume 1 was good, but I was still feeling like I don't know how they can go very far with this. And then by
this
volume
is
2,
a silly
though,
premise, but
by volume 2, I was like, okay, I can see where this is going. This is getting really good.
yeah. And I think some of that's attributed to the fact they introduce a lot of not a lot of characters, but they've been introducing characters as it's been going on, and at first the character's like, oh, it's just another hero person, and they probably have a bone to pick because Saitama is really strong, and no one believes him, and they're like, whatever, this guy, he looks like a doofus. But then Saitama's like kicking the shit out of aliens and crap that are super powerful, destroying the world and beating the heroes up, and now he's like hanging out with some of the high-ranking heroes, and it's really good because they actually spend time looking at these other people and their personalities, like what makes them tick.
It's not just like, oh, a big monster shows up, he gets there right away, punches them once, and they die.
and maybe some
it's-
jokes thrown in. Like that's like the first page, and then after that,
It becomes like a
lots of character development.
yeah. He's not Saitama's not the brightest person
No,
in the world. He's super strong,
he
and
gets lost easily,
and-
which I
yeah.
identify with.
Well, it's hilarious. In one of them,
you-
there's this giant battle going on between all these guys, and he's just wandering around with this little girl trying to find a cat.
yeah. Well, he was given an assignment to help the girl find her cat.
Meanwhile,
he's
the
just
other
trying to
heroes
do
are
that.
fighting some crazy cat monster somewhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, he's super strong, and you start to learn that he's got a really good heart. Like he's a really good person, and he's
Yeah, like most of the heroes are in it for like the fame and
they're
fortune,
in it for the pay and the
Yeah.
fame and glory,
which
or
is why
whatever.
they're in the hero association in the first place. But
He doesn't give a shit. He just wants to help people.
yeah, I mean, he wants to be well known and by people, which is why he's signed up for the hero thing in the first place. But yeah, he just wants to help people. He just wants to do the right thing, and he also wants to find an opponent who's strong enough to withstand more than one
because
punch.
he's bored.
Because he's bored. But he's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not very bright, but he's a good guy, and that's where it starts to get really good. Is when he starts like teaching these other really strong heroes what it actually is to be a hero.
Yeah.
It's not just to be strong and kill bad guys. It's to do the right thing and help people for the sake of helping people, not for the notoriety.
Yeah, and then maybe in your spare time, play some video games, drink some tea, eat a sandwich, just
read
hang
some
out.
manga.
Read some manga. But Volume 9 here, it's the latest one so far. It's really good because they're building up this guy. His name is Garo, and he's like a super scary looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so far, like, all the villains have been kind of either one shot or, like, they build them up, but then Saitama just beats them in one punch anyway after a bit, whatever. Yeah. Even the scariest
or there's some
ones,
goofy monster like, I'm mad because some kid snuck up and drew nipples on me.
Yeah, that guy was
That was
funny.
hilarious.
But yeah, this Garo guy is turning out to be a legitimate threat. Like it's might actually be like the first one. Like they had Speed of Sound Sonic, who they still have around, but they built him up kind of like as he might actually be able to beat Saitama, but nope. And now he's
just kind of a joke now. You
He's
don't
strong,
you don't realize until Volume 9 that he's kind of a joke, but then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, he doesn't have a chance.
But he's still not going to give up trying to beat Saitama or whatever. But then this new guy, this Garo guy, is like killing off Class S heroes left and right just because he wants to be like I think his story, he literally is like, why don't the bad guys win? Why do the heroes always have to win all the time?
He's mainly killed Class A and below.
Class A guys.
But then he just took on Tank Top. What's his name?
Tank Top Tiger and Tank Top Black Hole and Tank Top Master.
The Class S Tank Top.
Yeah,
Tank Top Master.
Yeah.
Tank Top Master. Yeah. I like during that fight that they're like, oh, the freedom of the tank top.
Yeah.
Or the tank top's design allows freedom of movement, so his punches are more powerful. And they're like talking about all the benefits of wearing a tank top.
Yeah. But yeah, right here, like you see in a little flashback, he's younger. He's like watching a TV show, and it's like, oh, why does the hero always show up and screw it up? Like, why can't the bad guy win? It's so boring.
That was kind of me when I was a kid, actually. Like when I watched Power Rangers, I always thought the bad guys looked way cooler, and I was like, how can they keep getting beat?
I'll become the strongest villain and change the story. So yeah, this guy's obsessed, and he's got strength to back it up, like super scary fucking. He just looks like a nightmare person who could kill things, and it might be building up to something really cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not just like, oh, Saitama beat him one punch and then he gets obsessed with fighting. It's like, that's what Speed of Sound Sonic's for.
Yeah.
Like this guy, it should be cool. He's like the student of that master, what's his sod or whatever, old guy. And
his hero name's
Master Bang.
His hero name's Silver Fang, and his name is Master Bang or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah.
He's a master banger.
Yeah, Master Banger.
It seems cool. And
that sounds like something else. I'm not sure what it is, though.
And then Volume 9 focuses on this Blizzard lady, and
I don't know.
She's pretty cool too. Her friends are like getting a car, and it's like really small or whatever. And
yeah, they can only afford a rental car, and then
it's like, we need a better car for our image.
We need a better car so we can look cool. Lauren, I don't know if you happen to notice that Dimple, the cashier guy, was wearing a One Punch Man t-shirt.
Oh,
Wait,
I didn't
really?
see the t-shirt,
Oh, I didn't
but I
see
heard you
that.
guys talking about
Yeah,
it.
I thought you were just talking about One
Oh
Punch
yeah,
Man.
no, I just looked up and was like, oh, that's a cool t-shirt, man. He's like, oh yeah, One Punch Man is great.
Yeah, it is.
Yay, relation.
We have common ground for
we
fun.
have a common interest.
Yeah.
But yeah, One Punch Man. Yeah, this book is focusing on Blizzard or whatever her name is, mostly kind of her little obsession with like getting her team that she has. She wants Saitama.
It's
or
like
something.
her. interacting with Saitama, and then the Garo guy
Yeah.
beating some ass.
And like I said before, like I never even noticed on the cover of Volume 9, you see Saitama way in the background eating a hot dog or something with a cat. Just like
Yeah,
with
he's
his
like
blank look
giving
on his face, kind of looking at
It looks like he's giving the cat some of the
Yeah.
food.
like Blizzard Lady. She takes up like most of the cover. Like every character like they get their own cover. Like they're on the front and they're the focus or whatever. Yeah, he's on the back too as a little silly doodle. Even more so than usual, but
Oh, and then there's dressed up as in his apron and
Oh, yeah.
his broom.
Genos with yeah. But yeah, One Punch Man is surprisingly good. Like it's getting deep with like the characters and stuff. The artwork's great. It's really funny, even though like it can have all the serious crap happening too. If you haven't seen or read or whatever, like check out One Punch Man. I highly recommend it. It's really good. It keeps getting better. It's already great. And
If you're into manga, you've probably at least heard of it. But if you're just looking at it and going, that looks weird.
I'm sure even if you've been to a store, you've probably seen it because it's everywhere. And there's a reason for that. It's really good.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Oh, I hope they make more because I want to read more, and I want them to make more assassination
Well,
classrooms as well
Don't
because
worry,
I want
I'm
to
going
read
to
them all.
buy them all, buy them all, buy them all.
It's not quite as bad as like my comics, which I've still been
I
waiting.
only just
for
got
one
that
of
next
them
Trinity 7,
to come
number
out
7,
for like
today.
3 months because comics
took
like to
months.
go in a
What's the one that's been taking forever?
Predators versus Judge Dredd versus Aliens. I think is the exact order that they
That is
call
many
it.
verses.
Yes,
November
it is,
2016.
and it looked really cool, and so far it is. But it's literally in the end of the second one, they advertised the third one coming out in like October, and now it's like scheduled for release in like December, because they keep pushing it back, and it's only supposed to be like a four issue, little mini arc, and they're taking forever. And it's like, why?
There's still so many comic series that I need to try and find.
But yeah,
There's so many comic series that I need to try and find the rest of them that I didn't end up getting originally that were from years ago. Like Butcher Baker, The Righteous Maker, that one's so good, but I don't have... I'm missing like 2, maybe 3 out of the 8.
yeah,
it's-
it's hard to find
that
them,
one-
and a lot of them get delayed a lot. And
Yeah.
you compare it to the
Well-
mangas, which have way more content, and they release those every 2 months.
Yeah,
Most of the popular ones are like every 2
But the-
months.
Yeah, something weird happened with the Butcher Baker, The Righteous Maker comic. Like, they released 7 of them, and then, I think about a year went by, and nothing was happening, and then all of a sudden, the issue 8 was released, and it was the final issue. And I think what I heard ended up happening was there was some sort of conflict between the writer and the artist, probably over money, and I think they finally just decided, okay, let's at least do a final issue and complete the story, and then we'll just be done with the thing.
Which, good on them for at least not leaving their readers high and dry, I guess. But
That
at the
sucks
same
most.
time, it's like, oh fuck, no more of this either way. It's
Yeah.
just
It's like I had this
I don't-
great
I don't
story
know.
and I loved, and they just left it.
I don't know how many issues it was planned for or anything like that. Maybe it was only for 8. I have no idea, but at least they finished the story in some satisfying way. But I still need the artwork on that is amazing, and it's just such a weird story that I want to finish it. I also need to finish collecting all of the Max. That one's really good and freaking trippy and weird.
Yeah, I haven't ever seen any more of the nameless ones either. And it's like it didn't really end. It the last
Nameless?
one, yeah,
No, it wrapped it up. It finished the story.
did it?
Yeah, I mean it was weird and hard to understand, but yeah, it was wrapped up.
Maybe I didn't read the last one, or
Yeah, maybe
Something
you
like
should
that.
take a look at
I
it.
don't
But
know.
yeah, Nameless was freaking weird too, and
Westlake's weird
I
things.
like a lot of weird.
The God Hates
Comics.
Astronauts. I remember
God
that
Hates
because it has
Astronauts,
the
yeah.
fucking chicken man and they're doing the farming pose
Yeah.
or whatever. The
Well,
fuck.
I mean, I like to look at the more independent publishers because generally speaking, they don't have any ongoing series that just go on forever and ever like Marvel and DC do.
Yeah.
And that way I can get a complete story, and I only need at a max of maybe 30 issues or so, and it's usually less. It's usually like between 6 and 12 or something. And then they also get much stranger, weird, hard to understand stories that I still enjoy, even though I have a hard time understanding it.
Yeah, the
And
more mainstream guys don't want to touch it because it's like, oh, this
Yeah.
is too complicated
And
or whatever.
The
Or it looks
artwork,
weird.
the
and
artwork can get
gross. and-
totally insane. Like with God Hates Astronauts, there's all these weird characters, and I
Fucking
also
crazy animal
like how they
things.
throw in like instead of sound effects, like how they try to like emulate the sound effect.
Yeah, like thud or bang or whatever.
Yeah.
Onomatopoeia.
There's one panel where there's a guy, he's waking up suddenly, and it just says "Wake the fuck up"
Yeah.
as he's sitting up, and that's the sound effect.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Instead of onomatopoeias, it's just literally like
Yeah,
the door slamming thud.
and he's naked, and there's like a black box in front of his penis, and it's saying it's labeling it as different stuff. I can't even remember what it labels it as now. Or like I think one of them is
His Oscar Mayer.
I think one of
his
them is
Junkadoodle.
yeah.
His
one,
fun stick.
one of them for sure is Dr. Penis because he's a doctor.
Oh, okay. That's not very creative.
But it's I don't know. I like the fun stuff. Like I'm tired of. I'm sure there's some interesting stories involving some long-lasting superhero whatevers.
Yeah, like the Marvel
But-
and DC, I could never get
I'm
into
just
it.
tired of it. Like I'm tired of the same superheroes, and I'm also tired of like you're collecting for this one series, and then it
They release
Oh,
like
there's a
they
crossover.
release
And then
like
it's-
one
it makes-
comic a month.
yeah, and then it says something over here, and it's like with an asterisk. Oh, if you want to know what happens completely with this storyline, then go get this other series that we're
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't
publishing
want to.
parallel to that one, and then you end up collecting
just
10
know
different
this.
things to get the full story, and you don't care anymore, and it just sucks, and it's horrible.
I already feel bad with like Sonic. Like, I like the Sonic comics, but then it's like, well, I guess I'm lucky because they have Sonic and Sonic Universe. They both take place in the same universe, same characters, same everything. So you might read part of Sonic and be like, oh, they'll have the little sidebar. It's like,
I mean,
read
it's-
Sonic Universe
it's-
for whatever fuck happened here. And it's like, okay, I
Yeah,
can deal with
it's
one
like,
extra.
It's like this forever ongoing
add-on
series that's
comic.
probably never going to end, but there's only 2 of them,
Yeah.
and you're just getting those 2.
And when they were
It's-
making the Mega Mans, it was technically kind of 3 for a lot of it because there was a lot of crossover-y crap too, but they aren't making those anymore. And it's still fine. It's still tolerable, and I still like all those stuff. It's just, yeah, I can see how it gets wacky with all that baloney.
Of course, the downside to the comics is like they're so short nowadays because I've got a lot of
Yeah, you
older
wait a month and you get like what, maybe 15 pages total of actual story, and then like the rest of it is ads, and then like next month. Oh,
Well, yeah, I have lots of older stuff from like the 70s and 80s and from like heavy metal and eerie magazines.
Those ads are
and stuff
funny, like
that.
buy X-ray specs and see through ladies' clothing. Oh, here,
Yeah.
learn how to throw your voice.
It's
like
almost
weird
as much.
shit
It's almost
like
as
that.
much fun looking through those old ads.
Yeah,
as
just for
what
the old ads, like
the
the
weird
old,
stuff they have for
Yes,
sale.
those weird con artist
some of the
crap,
old
carnival
things
shit.
for like the Nintendo and Atari games and stuff like that. But just the stories in those were like way thicker. It's like here's 30 pages of one story, and there's like 5 stories in the
Yeah.
magazine. And now you wait a month for just one thing with like 10, 15 pages and ads everywhere in it. And
Plus-
the older stuff, all
plus
the
you get-
ads were like at the end.
Plus, you get those neat old ads. It's like, hey, you want to own your own spider monkey? Just send $7.99
Yeah.
to this PO box
We'll
here,
send
and then
you
we'll
a
send you a monkey.
and a fucking mail. It's like,
yeah,
odds are that was a real thing or not in the 70s, but man.
yeah. If you, actually send me a monkey, it's probably dead.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked.
Well, I drilled a hole in the
But
box.
it's the 70s.
What
we can
else
get away
did you
with
want?
it, so whatever.
But yeah, so
But I don't know. That's why I mean, there's series that I'm super interested in, and I want to buy 'em. I want to get them anyway, even though it's only 15 pages per issue or whatever, and it's once a month. What I usually end up doing is I end up buying like, 4 or 5 issues, and then I go, okay, maybe I'll read all of these now, and then I get a big chunk all at once.
yeah, that's a fun thing because like with me, I like the aliens stuff with the xenomorphs, and there's a lot of older ones that came out a long time ago, and it's like they're usually only like 4 to 6 issues in the little story, self-contained story. And if I could find them all, it's like, yay, I've got them all, and now I can just sit there and read them. But now I'm like waiting for the current ones to come out, and it's like I have to wait a month, and maybe it'll come out, and then it might usually just gets like completely bought out, and I have to wait another 2 weeks for them to order another one, so I can find out what happened. And it's like, oh, but there's not enough of it. I want more.
Yeah.
I'd write my own stories, but I can't draw, and I suck at writing. Well, I can draw, I'm just not comic book quality.
But it was,
I'm above stick figure.
Speaking of comics, though, like, seriously, the guy, he works at the comic store that we go to all the time. His name's Scott, and he's really cool. Because, like, I've been collecting this series called Rumble. It's really good. It's about this guy that was like a godlike, part of a godlike species kind of way in the past before humans ever existed. And then he ended up being killed, but his soul was trapped for like 1,000 years or whatever, I don't know how long. And then his soul was finally released, but he didn't have a body to go to anymore, so he went into this scarecrow, and now he's this scarecrow man with a giant sword, and he's trying to get his body back. And there's these other ancient species that were supposed to have been eradicated years and years ago by him, but since he was tricked and his body was separated from his soul, and then he didn't end up killing them all, and they've been in hiding this whole time. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I only read like the first 2 of that one. It looked good. But
I missed issue 14 somehow, and then the store didn't have them, and then we tried to order it, but it didn't show up.
Like 3 times.
And then, so we tried to order it again, but then they were out of stock or something, so we couldn't order it anymore, and I was freaking out, and like, no, I'm going to have a missing issue now, and I hate this. Well, Scott was at another comic store, and he happened to see it there, and he was cool enough to buy it for me. And then I guess what he did was he scanned.
He basically sold it to the store to buy one of the ones he wanted, and then sold that copy to Wes.
Yeah, he bought it. He bought Rumble, and then he scanned another comic that he was going to buy for the same price, and then I bought that for him, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's really awesome.
It was really cool of him to do that, and I really appreciate it a lot, seriously, because
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass trying to actually collect whatever comic you're currently into if you're into comics, and you wouldn't think it would be, but
yeah, if you miss something and you're like, wait, when did that happen? Oh, did it go straight to the back?
Even
issues
if it's
or
new, as soon as it comes out, it's not new anymore, basically, and then it could end up who knows where.
We have the problem that the day we can get together is the day that they get the order, but you can't buy the comics yet. You can only buy them the next day.
Yeah, we go look at it and go, oh,
Wednesday is comic buying day. I don't know who decreed that, but
there's an entire
we
week.
Get together on Tuesday, so
there's an entire week between the time that the comics arrive and the time that we can then buy them.
Which after a week, who knows what could happen. Like for my stupid Sonic comics, it's usually fine because there's a billion of them, and I'm not worried about them being sold out. But then
stuff
your guys' stuff is harder to come by because there's not as much of it because it's not as mainstream, I guess.
Who's gonna want that? Not me. Well, apparently some people buy it because they're usually sold out. So.
Yeah.
I think
Oh man,
It's probably a good podcast right
I
there,
think
right?
so too.
Yeah, longer
Well,
than we've done
Let
before.
me think for a second, because
Wait, is there something else you wanted to talk about, Jason? Hooray!
Probably, because I'm just trying to think, like, without just rehashing what we talked about last time during the unfortunate thing. I'm trying to remember specifically if I covered all the bases of all the crap that happened last time and all the stuff that happened this time. Pretty much, yeah, like last time, okay, I got an arcade stick for the Sega Saturn, and that's cool, but I got it because I have some fighting games on the Saturn. Well, I technically only have Street Fighter Alpha, but I have Fatal Fury 3 and Virtua Fighter 1 and 2, but I can't play those because they're Japanese, and you have the thing to play Japanese games. I don't. I need to get one.
That's why your games are just sitting here.
Yeah, because I can't do anything with them. But, okay, so arcade stick. I didn't start playing fighting games, like, really until maybe I was, like, 15. Like, I played them a little bit when I was, like, a kid, but never in arcades where most people played their first fighting games. It was in arcades with arcade sticks, so they're used to it. They buy an arcade stick, they play fighting games with arcade sticks their whole life. They're good with them. I see tournaments for Street Fighter V. Almost everyone uses an arcade stick. I've seen the random person here and there using a controller and doing just as well as the stick people. It's not like some kind of thing where like, oh, use a stick because it's better. Like, yeah, it's different. You could access the buttons easier, I guess, with your fingers because they're all right there instead of just using your thumbs and 4 fingers maybe.
Yeah, you can use all of your fingers.
But
to
as
hit the
you guys
buttons.
well know, you can do just fine with a fighting game with a controller. Like, I've always used a controller and I've always done perfectly fine with
Yeah.
fighting games.
Yeah, I remember I used the stick a little bit too, and then I was like, wow.
Yeah,
This
as
is
soon as I
very,
use the
very
stick,
different.
it's like, and I've read about this, it's like relearning the whole damn game.
Yeah,
It's
it
like,
makes you feel like a dumbass.
Yeah.
Just,
It's a good
perfectly
handicap
good
for
at
Jason,
that.
so we
No.
can almost keep up with
because
him.
I can do perfectly good, great, better than most, like
Yeah,
anyone I know at a fighting game with a controller.
you-
I don't mean to brag, but I'm really good at fighting games with a controller.
Well, and when you were using the stick,
When I use the stick-
you couldn't even pull off the super moves.
Yeah, I could barely do the super move or
And-
dragon punch, and it's just
and then I played and I accidentally did it like 3 different times.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know how
It's
I.
like, how'd that
I think I
happen?
did it once, and that's after sitting there focusing on it for like 10 seconds while throwing out random kicks like a stupid. It's just so weird and different,
Well-
and I know it takes a lot of practice, and that's what everyone says, you have to practice, but at the same time, it's like, I feel dumb
It's
and slow.
literally just like the looking up to look up or looking up to look down. It's whatever you originally got used to is what you're good at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you try anything else and
Yeah.
you just feel retarded.
I mean, the only fighting game I ever played in an arcade was Mortal Kombat 2, and I barely played it at all. I think I got through like the first 2 guys and then
Yeah.
I died.
I think
By the time I started
best thing
playing
I
fighting
played there
games-
was like Soul Calibur.
Oh wait, shoot, what was that? What was that other game? Where it used real people sprites, and you could like pick up crates.
Oh, Pit Fighter?
Yeah, Pit Fighter. I played Pit Fighter in arcade
Yeah.
too.
That's a different type of thing.
But it's a very different type
Yeah.
of fighting
I
game.
mean, it's still made by the same Mortal Kombat guys
But
later on.
I actually played Pit Fighter before I played Mortal Kombat, and I was like, wow, this game looks so realistic and neat.
Which is good because Pit Fighter came first, and the whole thing was it has real looking people, picture people.
and that's
like,
exactly what I thought when I
this is
played
as
it.
good as graphics could ever get because they're real people, man.
And then I played Mortal Kombat, and I was like, wow, this is way better.
Yeah. So at least you experienced them in the right order because I played Mortal Kombat.
So I at least
First.
enjoyed Pit Fighter
And whenever I
for
saw
a
Pit
small
Fighter for
amount
the
of
first
time.
time, I'm like, wow, this is shit.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed Pit Fighter for a very
Yeah.
small amount of time.
But
I
yeah.
don't think I've ever even seen it.
I never played a fighting game until I was about 15 when I got my Saturn. Street Fighter Alpha was the first fighting game I owned, and so it's the first one I ever started really playing. And I mean, I played Street Fighter 2 as a kid, like at our cousin's house or something. The first fighting games I played was that World Heroes, Fatal Fury 2 on the Super Nintendo because they were on that.
You know what?
They had that.
I-
Fatal Fury 2 was the first fighting game I ever played.
I may have actually played a little bit of Marvel vs. Capcom, or the arcade version of
Yeah.
that, but that was way later. That was when I was like a teenager, and
Yeah, I think
I
they had
think
it
I
at
would-
the
I went-
bowling alley
I went
in
with-
Pollock for a while.
I went with Scott's family to Tahoe, and his parents just went to the casinos, and we were like,
Yeah,
Here in the
wow,
arcade,
we're
so-
underage. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
yeah. You,
So
you
they
get
have
you
these-
get
to go in
parked
the
in
arcade.
They have
the
this
circus
giant
circus,
They actually have like a
casino,
giant arcade,
which has
one of those
giant
places.
arcade.
Yeah.
but you go there and there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this
I've
is the
been in
real
arcades
arcade. This
and
is the real
casinos.
arcade experience, isn't it? Just
Yeah. No
three
one
pe-
in here.
3 people in this giant arcade. So I think that's where I played
It's
it.
supposed to
Well,
be
yeah,
dingy,
it was
the
always fun to
sound of
look at those,
machines
but
and people and creepy guy in the corner with the quarter belt thing. Like, hey kid, put your hand down by my crotch. I'll give you some coins.
yeah, that
Hey,
was the
little
worst
boy,
part
clink,
about
clink,
going
clink.
there is as a kid is you usually didn't have much money to actually spend because
Yeah.
Yeah, your parents would give you like $1. It's like, here you go, have
it's
fun.
like, oh,
for
cool, that's enough
what?
for like
Yeah, for
2
5
games.
seconds.
It's like, hey, wait a minute, you're gonna go play blackjack and you're gonna have like a lot more money
$1
than
billion,
me.
and you're not gonna fucking
You're
win.
giving-
Who are we kidding
it's like-
here?
So
You're
you
gonna give me
basically
$1
wander
to
around,
play-
stare at the machines,
I'll
and
at
go,
least
oh, that
have
looks
way more
cool.
fun than you could ever have playing blackjack. Even if you win, you're not going to have as much fun as me playing a cool ass arcade game that are better than our home games at the time.
Yeah, most of the arcade games I've ever played is because somebody was playing it and got bored and walked
they wander off, and then
it's
you
like
just play
you,
the rest
you
of their
do a double
life.
take and go over and grab the controller real quick.
Free
It's like
game.
yes,
Yay!
that's how I played Soul Calibur in
Yeah.
the arcade. It's like, dude, he wandered off.
Hey, what are they?
You're not
they're-
playing
they're
anymore?
Why
playing.
would you get bored playing Soul Calibur?
I know, I
Yeah,
love that
it's-
game.
What?
It's probably one of those
Especially in
weirdos that
arcade.
sits there and plays it for 18 hours a day, and then at some point they're like, food, and then they wander
Or
off.
bathroom.
Yeah.
I need to pee now.
My Gatorade bottle strapped to my leg is full, finally.
It's like, well, I guess your high score you earned was mine now.
Yeah. I
You
did
put
one
in
fight
my
and I'm in
initials.
first place.
I failed
wow.
miserably, but you did great.
I'm gonna
so-
put in my initials, and everyone's gonna know that it's me.
Tee-hee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But, so yeah, using a fighting stick is like back to square one for me, and it's a real weird experience, but hopefully I can keep practicing with that Saturn stick. Like, I
Yeah.
wish I had more in Street Fighter
Oh,
Alpha to play with it, but I can't use my games because
Also,
say
I-
your doodad.
Also, I should mention that I got the Saturn steering wheel, and it's great because
Oh yeah, that thing's
It-
cool.
like I got the Daytona USA game, the newer version of it that uses the analog movement. I think the older one did not use analog.
Probably not, because the
yeah.
analog controller only came out halfway through the Saturn.
Yeah, so I
steering
originally
wheel.
got the newer version, and I was like, oh, I have the 3D controller, so I have the analog stick. It'll be fine. But fucking
Yeah.
playing
That
with
analog stick isn't great.
playing a race. Let me just say, playing a racing game with an analog stick fucking sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
It's just.
Playing Knights with the analog stick is good. It's
yeah.
the Knights controller basically.
But if you're controlling a car with an analog stick, it's
Where
a
you
night.
need
It really is a
accuracy.
nightmare.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't even
and
think I've tried
I-
it with a
I
stick.
played with the steering wheel. I'm like, holy shit, this is so much more playable with this thing.
Yeah, I actually want to
and
play
it-
a bit of
it-
that
it was-
again.
it was-
It's so much fun.
It was $30. It's really
yeah, for that steering
pretty-
wheel with all the complex gizmoery in it.
pretty inexpensive
Yeah.
for a Saturn.
And the Stickadoodle is
steering wheel
25,
controller.
and it's in perfect condition.
Yeah, I think I've
It has
looked.
turbo feature. It's
I was
every
looking
individual button,
online
it's cool.
for the Saturn steering wheel for a while, just looking at the prices, and I think I've seen it for $25, but then it was like $10 shipping, so
Yeah.
it's still more expensive. And I got it from the game store. I know it's been tested. I know it's been cleaned. You
And
know,
we've
You know
played
it's
the
gonna
hell
work.
out of it.
because it's not a virtual boy.
I know it wasn't just dug out of somebody's closet after sitting there for
and then
you
they
know,
threw it
20
on the
years or
shelf.
whatever.
Yeah, no, it's
I
works.
know that it works.
and best of all, not only is it cheaper, you can take it home and play it immediately, today, now,
Yeah.
instead of waiting 2 weeks or
And,
whatever.
and
for
if
it to
for
show
some
up.
reason I brought it home and it didn't work,
yeah, if
then I
anything
could
went
bring
wrong,
it right back to the
you can take it
store
back.
and get a refund for it. So,
So
Yeah, the only downside
Yeah.
to it is we've tried using it on other things.
yeah, it doesn't
and
work
it
on
doesn't
games
work.
that-
Because
It
like
doesn't
Sonic
work.
Racing,
Like, I
Jason
don't mean it
wanted
doesn't.
to try
like,
it.
you can't
but-
press up and down. Obviously, like it doesn't recognize it as a controller at all.
Yeah,
You can't even
that's
press
the
buttons.
weird thing is it doesn't
Start
recognize
button. It has a
as
start button. It can't
controller.
even press it.
yeah, it should
It's like,
it should
you'd
work
think it
for
would
Sonic.
still
And
do
I wanted to
everything
work
but
with
the
Sonic R
control
so
pad.
bad. Like I know it's not gonna work for Street Fighter, even though it'd be awesome to turn the steering wheel right to move right. That'd be fucking stupid.
You
but
couldn't do
awesome.
any special moves because there's no
Yeah,
up and down.
but still,
It-
Sonic R could have worked because you
Yeah.
can move left and right, press a button to walk forward. You probably wouldn't be able to press down unless they use like you hit the L and R shift things on it to hit down
Yeah, the
as an
little shifting
analog
paddle
sort
thing.
of. or I'd switch to a button on it could work. It would work even if it didn't work because it could work. But
It doesn't even recognize it as
But
a controller.
it would have been
weird.
really great to control Sonic
Yeah.
with a steering wheel, even though
Yeah.
he's
I
just
mean,
running.
you have Amy and Robotnik, and they have vehicles, so that makes sense. But then Sonic is running and turning the
Turning
steering wheel to turn Sonic would be awesome.
It would be.
It'd be stupid and great.
Oh, what if you could use it for Sonic 3D Blast?
Oh yeah, and like the special stages, because you move left and right and jump.
Yeah, that'd be so great.
That'd be cool.
But it won't work.
It
probably.
won't. But yeah, it's cool getting those neato controller plugins and
Yeah, I think the only controller that we don't have between the two of us for the Saturn is the original American release controller.
yeah, the slightly bigger one, which I want one of those because I don't really like those tiny controllers. The LNR buttons feel weird, and I don't really like the control pad as
Yeah.
much. I've seen pictures only of the bigger one. It just looks better.
I think eventually I need to get a fight stick to an arcade stick too.
Then
just,
we can be terrible
so,
together.
Yeah, so we can be on an even playing field when we're playing
Yeah.
a fighting game and just be sucking ass
And
together.
Jason
Yeah.
will just be beating you again.
No, it.
Maybe. I mean, I was pulling off the super moves and he wasn't, so
Well.
I might accidentally doofus myself into a win.
Or maybe by then I'll have practiced enough with a stick-a-doodle I'll got good at it. Who knows?
That's true. Who
But
knows?
yeah, that's the thing. I watch a lot of Street Fighter V tournaments and other fighting games.
Actually,
Everyone uses a damn stick except the 1% that don't.
Actually, you need to get a steering wheel also because the Daytona USA has a 2-player mode.
Oh wow, yeah.
so we
two
need to be
steering wheels.
playing it together with 2 steering wheels. Neat.
You
Yeah.
can pretend to drive together.
God, but yeah. So you always see those people, like people with arcade sticks who are good at with fighting games, are always a lot. Not all of them, but some people can be uppity, like, "Oh, this is the only way to play. Controllers are for people who aren't good." It's like whatever. Some guy with a controller, like a PlayStation 3, 2, 3, 4, whatever controller, won Evo a couple years ago with Rose and Street Fighter 4, a character no one thought was any good, even though I've been using Rose since Alpha days, and I knew she's good. I always liked using her. She's great. And then everyone dismissed her in Street Fighter 4, like, oh, terrible character. Here comes some dude from France or whatever, wins Evo with this supposed terrible character Rose, and was using a controller. It's like double fuck you, stick-a-doodle elitist assholes.
Just a matter of what you're got used to learning in
Yeah.
the first place.
It'd be fun. Like, if I was ever in a fucking tournament, I'd be using a damn controller, and I'm sure I'd be doing just great. But I still want to learn how to use a stick because I think it'd be cool, and it is kind of fun, like having that authentic arcade feel.
Yeah.
Using it with Bust a Move too, why not? Because that's an arcade. I played that in the arcade for the first time I ever played it years ago, and it was a stick and buttons.
I also think it would be kind of fun to get the Genesis.
Oh, yeah, arcade stick.
the
The
3-button,
6-button one.
Yeah, the 6-button.
Because I have a 3-button one.
Genesis stick,
Kind of useless.
and
for
then
fighting
play
games.
like Streets of Rage 2 with it, even though that wasn't ever in the arcade.
Yeah.
It would still be fun to play a brawler.
It's a very
with a stick.
arcade-like game. So, like
Yeah.
people are always like, yeah, they're surprised it's not.
Or play
game.
Golden Axe or something
Yeah,
with the arcade
Altered
stick.
Beast,
It
like
would be-
those
it'd be-
3-button original arcade. Because for that's perfectly fine. That 3-button one.
Yeah.
But a 6-button is better because Street Fighter. I wouldn't want to play Mortal Kombat with a stick-a-doodle. Even people who like sticks don't like playing Mortal Kombat with sticks because you need a finger on the block button constantly, and the motions aren't congruent
Oh,
to a stick
yeah.
because it's always like forward, back, forward, punch for shit, and that doesn't
And
work
that's
as well with
perfectly
a
fine with
stick.
a D-pad.
Yeah, with a stick, it's more about the flowing motions of like half circles and dragon punches and shit.
Yeah.
So it's better for Street Fighter stuff. And I do want to learn how to do all that stuff. And yeah, in the meantime, I'm either watching that or watching Awesome Games Done Quick was the last thing I wanted to talk about actually, because
Okay,
Awesome Games
yeah.
Done Quick, they have 2 marathons every year. It's like a week long of just any game you can think of. Someone's done a speed run of it, and it's on Awesome Games Done Quick. They do speed runs of Luigi's Mansion. It's crazy. They walk out of bounds outside of the mansion and like skip doors. But it's fun watching these things because they'll play games that I know intimately and maybe do some crazy trick I've never seen before, and it's like, whoa, that's cool. I want to try that. And then I usually do. And sometimes I can't do it. Sometimes I do. And then it's like, wow, this makes the game crazy again. Like more fun. I can try something new with these games I thought I knew left and right. But it's really fun watching those videos. Those guys, they'll talk about what they're doing while they're doing it. Like, okay, here's how I do this crazy trick. Here's how it saves time. Here's why. And the community is really good for like speed runs in general. Everyone's really nice. And, you know, they open about it. Like, they'll help people who like doing speed runs. They'll race each other online. And it's just kind of a cool get-together, like, every year. Like, they do one in January for Awesome Games Done Quick. And then they do one in summer for Summer Games Done Quick on, like, June or something. So 2 marathons a year, like, week-long. They're just playing games. Like, even you could look at them, like, watch them at 5 in the morning, and there's like 3 guys sitting there in the audience playing.
Yeah.
But then the bigger games they hold, you know, during the day when more people are likely to see them. Like Ocarina of Time's a real big one. Super Metroid is usually a show finisher, and they'll have like races, like 4 people at once starting Super Metroid and doing a race, and that's always cool. Like Super Metroid is like the speed run game. Like, the control in that game is literally perfect, and it's so... They've got it down to such a science with all the tricks they do. The mock balls, the shine sparks, the craziness.
Is it usually, like... You don't usually see one person doing multiple games, right? They usually have, like, their one specialty game.
Yeah, they usually...
What they do.
There's several speedrunners that they are good at several different games, but there's the one game in particular that they speedrun for the event. Because there's a lot of people, a lot of games.
Because they're like, this is the one that I've practiced the most. Yeah. And these other ones I do, but I'm not as good.
And I do recognize, like, now a lot of the speedrunners, I'll be like, oh, hey, it's Zost, and he's really good at Super Metroid. He had the world record for a while, might still even now. And they'll do different categories, especially for Super Metroid, like, oh, low percent, get very, very little items, reverse boss order, or get 100% everything. And they make races out of it. I saw someone beat the first 3 dungeons of Ocarina of Time blindfolded and get up to where Ganon shows up after you get the 3 stones. He did the whole fucking thing blindfolded.
Wow.
He did it just by sound. And you don't even realize it until, like, he mentions it, unless you realize it. He pays attention to the noise Link makes when he walks on different terrain to figure out where he's going, because there's so many different walk noises. You don't even think about walk noises normally in a game, but seeing them play these games in different ways like this, different handicaps, or, you know, going fast, doing tricks, it makes you appreciate these games on a deeper level. Like, I already, like, Ocarina of Time is my favorite game ever. It's the best game of all time, period.
Except for maybe Persona 4.
I'd still probably stick Chrono Trigger and Super Metroid before Persona 4. But Persona 4 is up there, definitely. But seeing them do all this crazy stuff, it's like, wow, now I can appreciate this game even more because of all the wackiness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you are interested at all in speedruns, like, check out the Awesome Games Done Quick marathons. Like, you can type in, like, any game you can think of right now. Just say it, like, type it into Awesome Games Done Quick. There's a marathon for it. Or not a marathon, like a speed run.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the years they've been doing Awesome Games Done Quick, and they've raised millions of dollars for, like, Cancer Foundation, whatever it is, and Doctors Without Borders or whatever. They switch between each marathon. Like, summer's Doctors Without Borders, and winter's, like, the American Cancer Society or some research, and some... They raise a lot of money for, like, kids in hospitals and stuff. So it's all for a good cause, too.
That's cool.
And it really makes me want to actually attend one of these. They hold them in random places, like some hotel lobby or whatever, and it's always some random city. They never do it the same place twice, which is weird.
So maybe they'll come to our area.
A lot of the speedrunners have to travel to the places, and it's like, oh, whoever showed up on his plane last night, and he's ready to play whatever with... Yeah, I'd want to go to one, and I could speedrun Metroid 2, because apparently, with all these speedruns, I've watched a ton of them, all these different years, no one's ever played Metroid 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I speed ran Metroid 2 just here, like, not terribly long ago, like, kind of
you
a
weren't
while
even
ago.
trying.
And yeah, I was just kind
Just
of
to play the
playing
game.
it, and I ended up getting, like you said, it was you looked on for like speed runs, and mine was the fastest you could find.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy. I got a record without even trying it. It's like, I need to play Metroid 2 at the Awesome Games Done Quick. Be like, hey, I had the world record at least at some point, and no one ever plays this game. I think it's great. They would let me play it. In the Metroid block, where they play all the other fucking Metroid games, because they usually lump them together in blocks. Like, we're going to play Metroid, Metroid Fusion, Zero Mission, Prime, and then, you know, the Zelda games during this 10 hours of the day on this day. Like, they usually lump series together, but I need to do that because it's all for a good cause. It's all really great. Awesome Games Done Quick. Check it out. It's cool. We aren't sponsored by anyone, by the way, but they're worth.
Jason just wants a
It's
job.
it's fine to give.
I want a job. I'm gonna get paid to play video games.
It's fine to give
That would
people
be nice.
a shout out, especially if they're doing it for charity.
Yeah, it's all for a really good cause too. So, yeah, and like I said, Super Metroid, man, like even if you don't know about Super Metroid, just watching it, like, it helps to have played the game and know about some of the tricks, but some of the crazy crap they pull off, like I was talking about Mock Ball. It's this trick where you run at full speed, jump, and then do a specific like crouch in midair to turn into a ball when you hit the ground, the moment you hit the ground, and then you're going in the morph ball, but slightly faster than normally in the morph ball. Like you're going run speed in the morph ball when normally the morph ball is not that fast. Why it matters is because the speedrunners not only use it every second they get to shave off, milliseconds because they have it down to that much of a science. They also use it primarily to get an item early on that lets them skip a mini boss. They lets them get super missiles right away using this. I did the trick after like a little bit of practice. I was able to pull it off. It's like, wow, now I don't have to fight that mini boss ever again. Not that it's hard. It's just cool to have an item that you're not supposed to have at the beginning of the game.
How much time would you say you're cutting out by not fighting the mini boss?
Probably about anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, that's
Depending on
a
how good
lot
you
of
are.
that's a lot of time to cut
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Like the records are down to 100% of the items, maybe like 40 something minutes of gameplay. Or at least the game's timer. It probably translates to about an hour in real time because it doesn't count transitions between. Yeah, like the transition between rooms. If you go between a room, the game freezes while the door moves and you come out.
And it
the
doesn't
next
count
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
time.
count that.
It doesn't count that time, but they have it down to a science for their real time clock that they're following. Like when you go into the next room, the door centers itself, and if it's down low and you go through it, the door will raise up and center itself during the transition and then spit you out the other side. So it takes longer than if the door was in the middle of the screen and you just go through.
So they make sure the door's in the
they
middle
ma-
of the screen every
In the
time.
middle of their speed runnery nonsense where they're doing all these tricks and making sure to stay as fast as possible, they make sure the door transition takes less time by centering it as much as possible in the middle of the screen so they don't have to wait for the movement of the door. And I'm waving my hands around like an idiot right now, but it really is down to that much of a science, and it just boggles my mind, especially with Super Metroid, how much they've perfected that game and how much people are still perfecting it. I'll still watch speedruns and see someone do something crazy. I know about all kinds of wacky tricks. I know about the full halfie and the reverse full halfie. Like, you don't know what the hell that is.
Having a clue.
And
Nope.
It'd be insane to try and explain it. It's easier just to watch the damn video. But once you know, they actually name every room in the game just so when they talk with other speedrunners about, oh, this room, I was in this room and doing this thing. They named every room in the game. There's no names for the rooms, but they gave them names in the community, along with Mock Ball. That's a name that they gave that weird morph ball trick, and the community uses it to talk to each other about speedruns. It's that much of a tight-knit community, and it's really cool seeing people come together in such a wacky way, especially over one of the finest games ever made. It's worth checking out.
I think they've just spent too much time playing that game, and they should have spent it playing Dungeons and Dragons.
But in Zelda, you can blow yourself up on a water bank and slide through the water, and then if you hold the controller stick in a neutral position, but just enough to where Link's turning but not moving, and then hold the Z trigger, you can slide across the ground. They call it a WES, a water extended super slide.
Neat. That's my name.
Yeah.
Yay! Except
knew
I
you'd
spell
like
mine
that.
with one S.
Well, yeah, but it's really fun, and yeah, they're probably gonna do the next marathon in January. But in the meantime, there's so many old speed runs. You can just type in any game. Like, I wonder if they could play through that Monster DS game you have or whatever. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
someone has.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yes, they play all those fucking Ghosts and Goblins games. They do them. They don't die. They beat them super fast, even twice, and
Do
it's
it without getting
wacky.
hit.
Yes,
Like Mega Man.
they do that. I mean, not Mega Man, but like they do all that, and it's cool. So, yeah, if you get a chance, check out the speed runs. They're really neat. Awesome games done quick.
Cool.
But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. If you
Yeah.
guys are
Well,
finished,
if everybody's talked about everything they want to talk about, I think that's good.
yeah, and hopefully we can get this one saved. Everyone will know about it because we got all our topics out of the way that we wanted to get out of the way last week, and some new ones. So hopefully we're set. And we still have the other one on top of this yet to
Yeah, that's
stick out.
true.
By the time this one goes up, we'll have
we're-
more recorded,
We're
I'm sure.
Yeah, we're behind. The one that I still need to get up. We're talking about Halloween stuff, and it's
Yeah.
it's almost December. So
we might stick some of these up, like one after a week and then this one after a week or whatever.
yeah,
but
we'll see what happens
we'll,
with
we'll
that.
have to
but
speed it up
yeah,
a little
we'll
bit.
try.
Just
we'll
for
try
the
and
meantime, just
we'll
for
try and
short.
get caught up, and
Until
then
we're
we'll go.
caught up, and then we can go back to
We'll go
normal.
back to every other week.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
that's gonna do it for nerd ampersand dot etc. com w
Dot
what's this-
stuff and whatever and things and neat
Bye.
and yeah.